The Saints have left themselves little margin for error with just 2 wins and a draw from their first 8 games. Every game from here on is crucial. Their opponent won't have Sandilands. St Kilda go in without Justin Koschitzki. A late change. Big Ben McAvoy comes in. Luke Darcy, as I bid you good afternoon. I'd have to say that's an intriguing one because if they were going to exploit the loss of Sandilands, perhaps McAvoy is the man they'd like to have there.
We're told that he's pulled out due to some ankle soreness, Tim, but it's fair to say that Cozzy not full of confidence at the moment. We saw him play last week and he was really struggling. I'm a fan of Cozzy. I know that he's unbelievably brave, but not going the way that we know he's capable of. The ladder's interesting reading, isn't it, with Fremantle in 7th position at home, and we know what St Kilda need to do, Tim.
Well, if Sydney and Richmond behind Fremantle were to win, Freo with a loss today would slide out of the 8, and St Kilda with a win wouldn't be in the 8, but they'd be close enough to start believing.
You said it at the start, not a lot of margin for error for St Kilda. They need a big away win today to get their season back on track.
The Dockers have lost the last 5 times that they've gone in without Sandilands, so this becomes a real challenge for them.
Jonathan Griffin is the man who gets an opportunity, former Adelaide Crow. I'm a bit of a fan of his work. He fell out of favour with Neil Craig in the end, but he's athletic, he's tall, he won't be able to do the role that Sandilands is capable of, but they need him to be competitive today.
So Fremantle, having lost to St Kilda the last 6 times they've played them, go in without their biggest gun. They too have a late change. Van Berlo's in, Clancy Pearce is out.
Still a lot of quality on every line for Fremantle. Luke McFarlane is just rock solid in defence. Really looking forward to seeing up close and personal some of the younger players. Nathan Fyfe, the reports on his season so far are just outstanding. David Mundy's played over 100 games for the Dockers, and he's a class operator every time he goes out the field.
So the late change that we mentioned in the St Kilda lineup with McAvoy coming into the team.
The thing they got last week was some of their real A-graders back into some good form. Brendan Goddard, we've got him starting in defence, which I thought had helped him out last week. He was able to get all the play in front of him. Nick Revolt coming off career-high 31 disposals as well.
Tom Lynch in for his 2nd game for the Saints. We're joined by the Fremantle coach, Mark Harvey, before the first bounce. So, Mark, thanks for giving us a couple of minutes, tense time. No Aaron Sandilands, and the record not good without him. We got a shot of him in the rooms a little while ago eating a pie. Is it worse to be having a pie or a beer, do you reckon, on match day if you're not playing?
Well, I think we're sanitising the game too much. His body fat's under control, so if he's eating a pie, so be it.
Harves, it's been a great start to the year for your team. I suppose what you're wanting to do is create Subiaco as a real fortress for you. And conditions like this, it really feels as though it's going to play into your hands today. Coming out of the Melbourne winter, it's a tough job to take on Fremantle over here at this time of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a look at the Saints. We've had a look at them all week. We've obviously sat back over the last 2 or 3 years and watched them closely. In name, they're nearly still the same personnel as they were last year. I think they've only got 3 or 4 players out in injury. They're a really good defensive side, and we need to break that down.
Tell us a little bit about Nathan Fyfe, Harves. I haven't seen him personally this year up close, but the reports on him in his 2nd year that he's just taken his game to a whole new level.
Well, with the void that we have through injury, it's guys like Fyfe and Hill and Main and Ibbotson and Reece Palmer and these sort of guys that have really stepped up and made sure the team sort of has momentum. We lost a couple of games in a row, which was Richmond and West Coast, and then we hit back hard last week against Port. We understand the importance of today, though.
Matty Pavlich reminds me of your great mate. You played a lot of footy with James Hird and what he's capable of doing. Have you given him that sort of flexibility where he can put himself in the midfield if required and float forward, or is there some set instructions from you?
I think the unsold thing about Matthew Pavlich is that he gives a lot of the younger players a lot of direction about holding structure and what to do at any one given time throughout the course of the game. So, look, he'll be in and around the midfield. At times he decides to push forward, so that's really up to him.
Good on you, Mark. Thanks for joining us. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Mark Harvey, the Fremantle coach, a couple of minutes before the first bounce. There's the big man for St Kilda, the big boy McAvoy, who comes into the team replacing Justin Koschitzki. The Saints given hope last week as their big stars, Brendan Goddard and Nick Revolt, started to show a glimpse of form.
Both won a lot of the footy, Tim, and I thought Goddard just being able to settle the defence down, have all the ball in front of him. He had 37 disposals, really set up a lot of play. And Nick Revolt, 31 possessions as well, his career high disposals, as I said earlier.
So a very big game for two teams that remain contenders regardless of what's gone before. Freo fans think it's important. They've come here in their droves. It's the club's first home game since Anzac Day. They did have an away game in the local derby, of course, but this a big match against a club that's beaten them the last 6 times they've met. Fremantle at St Kilda, first bounce straight after the break.
Welcome back to Patterson Stadium. Nick Riewoldt talking to the troops. He's a key component to this team. He's heading to the middle of the ground for the coin toss with Matthew Pavlich. Also a Fremantle focus on this game where he plays. Of course, it's a key matchup somewhere on the ground for a Saints defender more than likely. No breeze, no worries there. The perfect conditions, sunny day, and the toss of the coin probably not relevant at all, but rather than the sun coming down late in the last quarter in the west. Matthew Pavlich will go to the right of screen. As I mentioned, stunning day in Perth, not a cloud in the sky, no breeze. Great crowd in, great sea of purple. They're anticipating 38,000 and a big game for both these teams as they try and make their mark. 24 degrees, almost there at the moment. Really looking forward to this one. Just the one late change for either Van Burlo for Pearce with an ankle, and of course McAvoy for Kosicki. And some news out of St Kilda. I'm being told that Jamie Cripps, who was out of this team because of a calf injury, is actually not going to play again this year. Word around that his season is over. Big game, looking forward to it. Now time to head upstairs to Michael Christian.
G'day Tim, yes. Looking forward to this. It's going to be a wonderful game of footy. Saw St Kilda last week. They're the odds, 235 the Saints. A very good win against Melbourne and perhaps building momentum. Fremantle at $1.62, of course, playing home. And as Tim mentioned a little earlier, 6 on the trot for St Kilda over Fremantle. So a big job for the Dockers, particularly in the absence of Aaron Sandilands. There's Jonathan Griffin. He will be taking the #1 ruck responsibility for the Fremantle Dockers this afternoon. And a big load on his shoulders. Former Perth boy, of course, taken by Adelaide, now back at Fremantle. So a big task for him. And it's going to be a wonderful game. And as Tim says, Dars, 24 degrees. You were just down at ground level. Looks like an absolutely sensational day and very warm.
Stunning afternoon here in Western Australia. And look, it's beautiful sitting in the crowd. But I think the St Kilda boys have been enjoying the sun on their back now. But having come out of the Melbourne winter where we know it was about 10 degrees this morning when we flew over, it may be a factor in the second half. Obviously, Fremantle get to train and play in these conditions each and every week, so obviously an advantage there for them. St Kilda have really tried to play more attacking in recent times. They are second in the AFL from marks and play on. In the past with St Kilda, they're really happy to hold on to the footy, chip it around, maintain possession, starve the opposition and slow things down. But there's a shift in that, and I like it. I think it is exciting and looking forward to seeing their gun players. So last week, we mentioned in the opener, got some form back. Brendan Goddard, I see, starting in the centre. He played the whole game in defence last week, so that's an attacking move as well from Ross Lyon.
So play not far away from getting underway here at Patterson Stadium. Nick Riewoldt lining up inside the centre square, inside the forward 50, about 25 metres from goal. Underway, St Kilda versus Fremantle. A chance at ground level for Montagna, couldn't take it. Mundy dispossessed. Montagna another attempt eventually. He scrambles at the half forward. Schneider gathers well, kick around the body. Peake going back. Oh, he's got it. That's a wonderful mark from Brett Peake. And a great start for the Saints. He's marked 45 from goal.
Don't underestimate how good that kick was from Adam Schneider. It might look like he just blazed away. He had a little glance over his shoulder. He saw Peake running down, and he's incredibly clever, Adam Schneider. Put it in the right spot. Brett Peake against his old side. Good start and a really good opportunity to kick the first goal here for St Kilda.
So he'll kick from just inside 50. Looks pretty good. And St Kilda draw first blood. Best possible start. Pro Fremantle crowd. Beautiful afternoon. And St Kilda on the board within seconds.
We often talk about that when you're away interstate, that a start in a game is so important. Big crowd. Fremantle are here, haven't had a home game since round 5 on Anzac Day. So if you can take the crowd and the atmosphere and the enthusiasm out of it, all of a sudden it just asks a question of the opposition. I'm sure Ross Lyon, they were really focused on that. We need to at least be in the game. If we can have a lead at quarter time, that belief starts to grow. They've come off a win. We know all the troubles they've had throughout the year, but ideal start there for St Kilda and Ross Lyon.
The Saints have won the last 4 times they've come to this venue. Normally such a challenge for travelling teams. They must come here with great belief, and a start like that only heightens it. And Fremantle haven't had the ball yet. Goddard puts St Kilda forward again. Grover repels. Milne, though, beats him for pace. And it's St Kilda building once more. It's been pretty ragged, but they've got the early result. And they have it at the 50 here, where there'll be a stoppage. And St Kilda will look to try and add to its early advantage. Awful ball there for Broughton.
So from the boundary throw-in, taken by Montagna, back to Jones. Quick kick towards vacant goal square, getting back. Dockers in numbers. Oh, dangerous tap. Oh, brilliant smother though. And Broughton eventually forces it through for a rush behind. An opportunity, a momentary opportunity there for Adam Schneider, but a great smother and a point only to the Saints.
Gee, very nearly another scrounged goal, and tough time for Broughton early. He defended for all he was worth there, and the footy comes back to him, and he kicks to Johnson in front of, or Pavlich in front of Goddard, and so it's Fremantle's footy to try and work with at last. To Ballantyne, and his opponent Dempster overcommitted. Ballantyne on the break, into half forward, but Fife out in front, didn't hang on. Gilbert to nobody much. Goes after his own ball. Got himself into trouble. Van Berlo getting it off. Ibbotson, Mzungu squeezing it out. Pavlich again. But St Kilda playing the game it plays so well. The suffocating, scragging game. Mundy for the Dockers. Backwards to Ballantyne. Fremantle doing it all the hard way. Ballantyne just in hope and was lucky to get a result. Fife there and Duffield as well. Now Broughton. And Fremantle finally get it towards their 50, but they did it the hard way.
Now, Ross Lyon would be absolutely wrapped with the initial intensity that St Kilda have brought to the contest here. They really could see that handball from Hayden Ballantyne under pressure. It was because the space was closed down. Every time one of the Dockers got the footy, they were immediately met with some tackle pressure. And we haven't seen that sort of intensity this year from St Kilda.
So from the throw-in, taken by Goddard, and a little high, so a free kick to Goddard. Now Del Santo crossed the ground, a dangerous kick, but it's okay, taken by Stephen.
Del Santo last week played in defence on Brad Green for Melbourne, which was a bit of a surprise, and it looks as though he has got Ryan Crowley following him around at the moment, starting in half-back.
St Kilda working to the centre, Fisher off to Ray with a bounce as he runs through the centre of Patterson Stadium, long towards Jones, and drifting back inside the attacking 50. Clint Jones is marked just 30 metres from goal, directly in front.
Great build-up from St Kilda. Stoppage win. Farron Ray broke the line, took a bounce, ran through the corridor, and with the space here at Subiaco, you're always going to get an opportunity one-on-one inside 50.
So Jones from directly in front, no problems there. St Kilda have a couple.
St Kilda have got the jump, and Hayden Ballantyne's got a sore shoulder stroke collarbone, receiving a bit of treatment. I think it's just a whack on there. He's coming off feeling some pain and grimacing quite a lot. It looks okay right now, but should be okay, but early concern for Freo.
Griffin winning and winning the ball as it spills, but Gilbert has it covered. St Kilda doing everything right in the early part. That's a good ball too from Gilbert to Goddard. Rapier-like delivery. And St Kilda now work it into the corridor. Montagna. Del Santo to receive on the preferred side, and he's unerring. Schneider, Stephen, the Saints build again. Revolt, awkward half volley. McFarlane covers him. Peake getting it off. Schneider receiving, but under the pump. Ball up.
Mentioned before the first bounce, the change in St Kilda's style. Second in the AFL for Mark's play on. Well, that passage there, that was the way Geelong have played in the past. That was just fanatical play on. Snyder just gave the instinctive handball. Everyone wanting to move the ball on quickly.
Fisher gets it forward only as far as Duffield, who, he's held it a long time. Fisher, Mundy's got him. Stephen, Pavlich the tackle. And eventually the umpire just letting it go, and he'll call for it now. Bounce 45 from St Kilda's goal.
Again, just great intensity around the footy, and Fremantle not shell-shocked, but they suddenly looking at this game saying we've got a side who are really going to serve it up, as they have done early here in the first quarter.
Griffin to Pavlich, well tackled by Peake. Ball under there, not coming out, and the umpire will bounce again, 35 metres from St Kilda's goal. 2-1-13. Fremantle yet to really threaten, yet to score. With St Kilda in a wonderful opportunity perhaps to score again. Grover feeds it out lower. Oh, gee, did he take them on? Ibbotson just does it well, taking it to the line.
It's great forward pressure, isn't it? We talk about it so much in the modern game about how much you keep the ball in the forward half of your ground. Time spent in the forward half at the moment. St Kilda dominating that and just continue to apply pressure. If it stays down there longer, you can score and the opposition can't.
Sam Fisher, very good steal. Lynch, a bit of a chance. The bounce beat him and Johnson. Oh, it almost did the full curl and finished up back in front of the tall sticks. But wobbled through for a behind, but it's perilous for Fremantle early. Now here's Mzungu pumping it long to a contest. Griffin, good hold of his ground and a very good pair of hands overhead to outpoint McAvoy there. And kick it low and evenly in the main direction. Del Santo, rather Dawson arriving with the spoil, but getting some arm or shoulder, and it's a free kick.
It's a little crude there, Zach Dawson. Free kick to Mundy to Stam. Great mark from Jonathan Griffin. That'll give him some confidence. But Ben McAvoy had to be stronger in the contest. Needed that to come to ground.
Good hands by Fife, marking in front of Del Santo. And too far out to score. So he goes back to Duffield. Now he's caught a play on, not the required distance. He decides to pump it in. At the back, Bradley in from the side. McAvoy, Crowley. Well, he kicked it just inside, but couldn't pull it back far enough. So out on the full free kick to the Saints in the back pocket.
See Ben McAvoy again there, just giving himself a little wrap over the knuckles. He's in great position, exactly where you needed him to be. As he just gets a little more accomplished as a player, those marks will stick and it'll really benefit his side.
Towards Revolt, Del Santo front and centre, scrambles it to the wing, fortuitously lands with Sipos, loops the handball into Stephen, got there eventually. Now Jones providing some run, didn't know where to go, so he goes back to Polo. Now he's undecided. Fisher, not too much on down the ground, so needs to hold back, but that's a wonderful kick because Sipos was able to run forward and make position at half forward. He wheels around, kicks to the goal square. At the back, Peak with another opportunity, couldn't hold on to that one. Mzungu now with an opportunity in the back pocket for the Dockers. Towards Hill and Montagna. Hill did very well, finds the footy at the back. Now from half back, drives towards Main. Well done, got Dawson out of the way, but then proceeded to fall over. So Dawson will arrive first. Main applying the pressure. Main, well, gee, the Saints has got numbers there. That's why they'll win this contest. Polo to Blake. His kick is a good one, and it finds Lynch on centre wing.
Thanks, Jesse. Be good to feel the ball in his hands. Former Haileybury boy gives to Goddard, sweeps it inside to Gwilt, and the Saints have the corridor. Gwilt is a good kick of the ball. He can put it to within about 25 of goal. He's gone wide for Peak to run at it. Johnson with the long arm needed to get it in there and did. Tim Gossage, what have you got for us on the boundary line?
Nat Fife has been forced down into the rooms, wringing his left hand after this contest here, and don't know exactly what happened. He came off wringing the left hand. He's now gone for treatment.
Thanks, Tim. Boundary throw in St Kilda, deep into attack. McAvoy down into the direction of Schneider. Ball's not coming out of there, and a bounce 25 metres from their goal.
Only early stages here of the first quarter, but I feel like I'm watching St Kilda of last year at the moment. They're really well organised. They've got great instruction around the stoppages. When they get the full footy into the corridor, they wait until a good user gets hold of it, like a Fisher or a Goddard. Great start from the Saints.
Schneider with it, now immediately tackled, no prior opportunity. And another bounce. You can just see there the number of players around this stoppage. That's why it's hard to get out. St Kilda pushing numbers forward, try and keep it in their forward 50. Schneider an opportunity. Now a chance for Ballantyne. Back on the ground. Looks to be okay. Kick towards the wing was marked by Bradley. Just backward to right centre wing. Kepler Bradley, what a revelation he's been this year. Main drops a simple mark. Swooped on by Gwilt. And now the Saints away again. Handball was good to Revolt. Revolt 60 from goal. Don't know about that. He gave it to Peak, put him under the pump. He kicks inside, attacking 50. Dockers with the numbers here. Revolt does well. Fremantle should clear, and they do through Johnson, and now Ibbotson as he runs through half-back.
Has time to survey the options and goes for the short one in more ways than one in Ballantyne, who kicks it wide to... that's a free kick that's been paid to De Boer, who breaks, but it's 1-on-2 with both teams with an extra man or two back. Goddard copped it high there, and that's a free kick against Palmer, and umpire Mollison just comes in to make sure things don't heat up on this warm day. Polo inside the 50 for St Kilda. Now Ray, but he'll see a lot of purple jumpers ahead. Back to Polo, the former Tiger. Doesn't quite know where to go. Opts for Del Santo wide on the wing. And he receives, and the Saints now can try and set something up.
This is really the first time that Fremantle have been able to get a bit of a zone going of their own. Prior to this, Saints have been able to mark play on and just waltz through the middle part of the ground.
Switch of play. Goddard finds Gilbert, returning to some of his best last week. Sam Gilbert. Oh, gee, that's an ordinary kick. Revolt can't gather. Lower, held without it. No free kick. Well done by Armitage. That was desperate in amongst four Fremantle Dockers. McAvoy somehow got the handball to Fisher. Scrambles it towards full forward. Here's an opportunity for Sipos. Can he gather? No. He's still got an opportunity. Well tackled by Ibbotson. Tries to paddle it clear, but it's all Fremantle, although well done by Polo. Put the tackle on, but the Dockers are able to get out of trouble with Michael Johnson from halfback. Good kick, Ballantyne. Couldn't take the mark. Gwilt kicks it back to attacking 50, and the mark's taken by Jones. He decides to play on and kick the goal. Clinton Jones, what a goal.
Well, an unbelievable start to this game from St Kilda. Now here's Johnson's kick into the corridor. It's a dangerous one. Sean Dempster, that is what he's in the side to do. Play tight on Hayden Ballantyne. A little 1%, got the fist in, created a turnover. Clint Jones kicks his second goal. Are they up and about, St Kilda? Brilliant start from them.
Jones, prior to today, had just 2 goals for the season. He's doubled that already. He had just 23 in 82 games. He's not a goal kicker by any stretch, but the Saints this year are having to start finding some new ways, and they're doing that right here, and they have the Dockers in trouble early. Fife injured, off, down in the rooms a little while ago. Fremantle are in trouble. Hill wide to half forward to nobody. Gwilt's been very good, so's Gilbert, and they team pretty well here. In fact, better than that, they team brilliantly, and Gilbert kicks wide for Polo, who's hustled over the line by Mundy.
Mark Harvey's decided that this is too big a run on to allow to continue, so he's dropped a loose back. At the moment, Reece Palmer has that role for Fremantle, but Sam Gilbert's the loose for St Kilda. Now in the past, the Sam Gilbert that we know at his best, he's not the player that you want to leave loose in defence. So capable back there.
Quick kick from Hill is over, so a boundary throw in.
Nat Fyfe is back, boys. Now he's had his shoulder re-strapped again. He looked like he was certainly holding onto his hand. He's just taken some tablets as well, and he's had that left shoulder re-strapped and is now back on the bench.
Thanks, Goss. So from the boundary throw in, chance for Ray. Del Santo jammed it on the boot very quickly. Chance for Schneider. Now Docker's got the numbers here, but Saints work it pretty well. Peak, Jones, and now the dynamic Stephen Milne with a bounce through the congestion. He takes them on. Kick wasn't great. He had a loose player in Sipos, couldn't find the mark, and well done by Ibbotson. Clever kick around the body. Mark's taken by Mzungu.
In fairness to Milne there, it was actually great composure because he had nothing inside the forward 50. He just needed young Sipos to turn and offer him a lead. Sipos was running away, and it was a really hard kick to try and execute. And had he just read the play, they're having another shot at goal, St Kilda.
Mundy, very close, but Griffin taking it just above the chalk. Got to say, Fremantle have not looked like kicking a goal. They haven't even been close. The ball clearing the pack there, that might give them a chance, but Crowley couldn't escape Dempster's tackle. Ballantyne, oh, well done, Dempster. Big double effort.
Free kick. Too high.
High tackle.
No.
Holding the ball. Well, the crowd won't like that because the tackle stuck, and a moment later the player and the ball were over the boundary line. So
St Kilda bring it out now. Milne, handball back to Goddard, who's got time at halfback, delivers wide to Schneider, who's made position on centre wing. Schneider, kick in board, play opening up here for the Saints. Ray, although Fremantle get numbers back now. It's a Peak. He drives it deep towards full forward. Lynch at the back now. Free kick, hands in the back.
Against Lee Montagna it is, and it was pretty obvious push. It was a bit unnecessary because Tom Lynch was going to take the mark. He's in the best position. I love the kick in defence from St Kilda before. Dempster took a risky one to Goddard right at centre half back, and that broke the whole game open. A little unlucky not to be having another shot at goal through Tom Lynch.
Kepler Bradley, Fremantle's biggest goal scorer of the year so far, down the back right now where most of the Dockers are, and that's a poor kick. And Gilbert in front of Crowley takes the mark, has Jones loose in midfield. But again, they're going to have to work their way through a packed defence. Schneider to Fisher. Here's the way to work through the packed defence. The long bomb, but it's just offline. But this is one-way traffic. St Kilda by 21 points. How's the crowd down there, Goss?
Quiet.
Tell you what, they are getting hammered at the moment, Fremantle. Inside 50s, 12 to St Kilda, 2 to Fremantle. They are lucky that it's only 21 points. Complete domination every part of the game at the moment. They just can't get hold of the footy, Fremantle.
And it's so stop-start for Fremantle. We've seen this pretty much for the entire game. De Boer having to go back. Now well done by Revolt. Got a hand in there. Tap back by Blake to Revolt. Now to Stephen. Schneider. Missed tackle by Ballantyne. Off to Stephen. Runs to 45. Brilliant stuff though by Ballantyne. Now Montagna. Standing start. Kicks to the goal square only as far as Duffield. And the Dockers can relieve the pressure. Now here's an opportunity perhaps, but Mzungo's kick was smothered by Fisher and a boundary throw-in. But it's very stop-start for the Dockers, whereas St Kilda in contrast are playing on at all costs.
But how about the 1%ers as well? We just saw Nick Revolt get a fingernail in and turn it over again. That was a smother coming out of defence. Forward 50 tackles at the moment. St Kilda absolutely dominating that part of the ground. Really just throwing it down to Fremantle here.
If it's about fingers, Fremantle are the boy with 10 fingers plugging the holes in the dyke.
Oh, what a mark that is.
Terrific effort by Fife just behind the wing for the Dockers, and they need someone to provide them with some spark and some belief. They're playing aimless footy.
Look how strong those hands were there. Nathan Fife, he just has come off the ground. Tim Gossage mentioned had the shoulder restrapped. Big pack mark.
Broughton giving it off. Crichton able to run and has McFarlane out of defence in some space. Now this looks vaguely promising. Blake blocked his path well and forced the short kick. Still a chance for the Dockers. De Boer is 40 out and he misses. Needed a conversion there just to get kick-started.
Heard a lot about Nathan Fife coming across to the West today. He's had a great start to 2011, his second year. And I'll tell you what, you can take pack marks like that in the role that he plays. You've got a lot going for it.
So Gwilt to himself, and he drives it to half back. Lynch and Ray the targets. Ray does well to gather, and they're away again here, St Kilda. Stephen gets a good shepherd from Armitage. Cuts in board to Milne, playing up the ground. Now handball wasn't great, intended for Revolt. Turnover. Ibbotson can't control it. Blake, Gilbert, Revolt, good half volley. Montagna. Fremantle's intensity and their tackling just lifting in the last couple of minutes. They tie it up in centre field.
Ross Lyon at the start of this year, he said, as a side, we're going to try and play more, score more and attack more. And you can see a little irritated with the fact that didn't go inside 50 again, but it's exciting. It's a lot different to the conservative approach they've taken in the past. Milne, they're really trying to break the lines and get through.
St Kilda again winning the clearance. Montagna, Bradley in hard, needed to be careful. He got a bit of Milne, and Milne's slow picking himself up. And eventually a high contact free kick goes St Kilda's way. Perhaps it was there to Milne. It's taken by Stephen, who gives to Goddard. He's well smothered though by the oncoming De Boer. Pavlich, who's been quiet on the ricochet. Main stood his ground well with Dawson arriving hard.
Gee, lucky not to get 50 there.
And now Palmer as the Dockers build. And again there's a bit of hope. It's out in front of Mundy, classy player. Too far out to go for it. Puts it in front of Duffield, who's got forward. The kick is handy, but again, just near side.
Having a look at Zach Dawson's fist, I reckon it was well played. We knew his intention. You knew that he was never going to get to it, but just enough in the contest. It slowed the Dockers down enough for St Kilda to get back and defend.
So Del Santo to Ray in the back pocket. Some positive signs in the last few minutes for the Dockers. Stephen still inside defensive 50. That's what's ahead of him. No, well, just touched off the boot, so well done by Lower, getting across, fisting it over, boundary throw in half forward for the Dockers. Still plenty of time left in the opening quarter. 19 points, St Kilda's lead, but Dockers I don't think too far away. Gilbert, third man up. Pavlich trying to put his imprint on the game. And ball eventually spilling out. Crowley attacks it hard. Gilbert does well, finds the handball to Raider Del Santo. Chips towards the wing. Ball to the back. Now a chance for Sipos here. Does well to gather. Does superbly. Put the head down and draws the free kick.
Played it well there, young Sipos. As you said, Chris, he drew the free kick, but he had the awareness. He had a runner coming through an Armitage, so he trapped the footy. It's okay to go to ground, but you need to come up with the footy, and that's what Aaron Sipos did on that occasion.
Crowd not happy, but the free kick certainly there. Johnson looks to have this covered. Might have been front on contact, not paid. Broughton smothered, Johnson back to it. Mzungu having a bit of it. Hill threading it. Broughton again, Grover, brave. Mundy on the burst, has Hill outside him, uses him now, will have to try and straighten to get onto the left, does it easily and delivers beautifully. Just too strong though for Ballantyne. Dawson covers, Del Santo and St Kilda on the rebound and could have Fremantle disorganised. Del Santo looping it for Gilbert.
Totally open inside 50, they've got some one-on-ones. What's Gilbert going to do? He's going to take his time. Revolt
I just wonder,
spell at the moment.
Luke, whether he had turned around, they had 2-on-2 inside the attacking 50, eventually kicks towards half forward, but no trouble there for the Fremantle defence, fisting it over.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Chris. So I think the way they've got a lead, the way they've really been able to break Fremantle open has been, as we've been talking about, that fanatical play on, and it was an opportunity to do it. They weren't Revolt, it wasn't Goddard, it wasn't the big guns down there, but you still back your players in one-on-one as a forward. Brett Peake, Sipos, they're not the A-graders, but you still give them a chance to put some pressure on the defence.
Chance for Armitage, gathers now inside attacking 50, searching for some support, gets it from Gwilt, who eludes the tackle of Palmer, gives it to Peake. Now Gwilt being forced outside defensive 50. Van Berlo, that's a great tackle. Should have been penalised, wasn't? But the Dockers get the ball through lower in any case. Wide to Mains, got Revolt to contend with. That's a great tackle. Ball spills over, and we'll get a boundary throw in on the outer side wing.
So I thought Nick Revolt was off the ground, but what he'd done was he'd chased Main about 200 metres into defence, and he's such an honest player, Nick Revolt. If it was his turn to go and pick up a Fremantle Docker, he will just go and take his turn to do it.
And just saw the handball that Gwilt did get out there, so good umpiring.
Good win to St Kilda there at the boundary throw in. Montagna keeps it wide, so a throw in. Still Fremantle goalless with not much more than 2 minutes left of the opening quarter. Very much St Kilda's term, bringing a confident attitude to Patterson Stadium, where they've had a lot of recent success. Griffin and McAvoy, Ray just wrestling his way into a position to get the kick and scoring a behind. And who knows, when Fremantle and St Kilda meet, might be a behind in it at the end. They've had a couple of thrillers, a couple of reasonably controversial ones in the last 5 or 6 years.
So Greg Broughton at fullback for Fremantle. As we so often see, a little kick to himself and then kicks it towards Pavlich, but a turnover. Armitage feeds it back to Montagna. He's dangerous from this spot, from just inside 50. Kicks a wonderful goal.
Have a look at this goal once again from Lee Montagna. It is just a sensational finish. I love, he has a little look inside there. Is there anyone on, you know what, I'm capable of taking ownership of this myself, and hammered that home from right on the boundary line. And to me, that is what the scoreline probably should read in terms of the way St Kilda have played. 15 inside 50s to 5. They smashed Fremantle in the clearances, deserve a 4-goal lead.
Tellingly, the 4 goals have all come from the midfield. 2 to Jones, 1 to Peake, 1 to Montagna, and that is not like the St Kilda we've come to know over recent years. They've relied so much on their big forwards, particularly Revolt, and their little ones in Milne and Schneider. Griffin rucking, no Sandilands, and St Kilda without their, the Dockers rather, without their Hercules. Now, they're desperate for a late goal here. Broughton has a look, contests up ahead. Dawson covers Bradley. At the back, Polo's footy. Gwilt there to help him, and Goddard to help him. Gilbert there too, just dallied with that though. Could have opened the door. Mundy giving it off. Palmer, Pavlich into the 50, and Main needed to hang on. And it's wide, and it's another minor.
I like the role that Brendan Goddard has played in this first quarter. I said before the game that last week was a great way to get him back into form. He spent the whole game, here he is taking the fullback kick out in defence. Ross Lyons said, I'm going to put you in the midfield for a start. And he really had an impact on the game, and as the quarter has gone on, he's slotted back across half-back and just able to provide that leadership and that sure head back in defence.
Short kick from Blake finds Polo as we count down to quarter time. Wonderful opening here by St Kilda. 8 scoring shots to 3. Polo drives it long towards the wing. Big pack of players. Revolt up in the pack. Ibbotson almost claimed the mark. Wasn't considered by the umpire, and a bounce the attacking side of left centre wing for Fremantle. So Griffin, McAvoy, late inclusion for Justin Kazitsky to do battle. Mundy was able to knock it forward. Bradley high towards half forward, standing underneath at Polo, and he's been paid the mark. Well done by Dean Polo with his second club. After spending time, now there's an injury. There's a right shoulder injury, and this looks to be
Goddard, is it?
Looks like
it is Brendan Goddard, and he's in a lot of pain down there.
And calling for the stretcher. So it looks to be his right shoulder. He copped it from Dawson by the look
Might
of it.
have been a knee in the face, and maybe he's. Let's have a look at this again. You can just see it was a hip to the side of the head, but he was just writhing in pain. You can see his feet just shaking with the pain. So let's hope there's not some sort of facial injury. We won't try and guess. It's not our area, Tim.
Just brings back memories of James Hird on this ground a number of years ago, where he copped an extreme facial injury, and Goddard, as you say, convulsing on the ground as though this might be in the same category.
We know the players have got an enormous pain tolerance, and they really stay down.
He is talking there, so that's certainly a positive sign. But yeah, you can see the head jolting.
That real bony, pointy, hard part of the hip to the cheekbone has made enormous contact. So he's talking to trainers and letting them know how he's feeling, which isn't great at the moment. And what a disaster this would be for Brendan Goddard for St Kilda, just getting himself back into great form. They've had a sensational start to this game. I was saying how well he played in the midfield and going back across half-back. So let's hope it's just something that he's going to be able to come back on and recover from. But the stretch is straight out. Doesn't look great.
Yes, well, it appeared as though it was the extreme pain rather than the nervous shock or something like that that was causing the legs to convulse as they did. And we hope that it's not an injury so serious as to really threaten Brendan Goddard in any way, but obviously he's not in good shape at the moment. So certainly a hip to the side of the head.
Just the head jolting has obviously caused the issue. So
you see the medical staff always put the neck brace on as a precaution in this situation.
So much been said about Goddard's form, or the absence of it, through the early part of this season, and the great pity of this is that it appeared that it was just starting to come back for him. Had a pretty good day against the Demons last week, and now you'd think he's out of this game. We hope he's not out of too many ahead, but there'd have to be that possibility. Just 16 seconds left on the clock, but obviously everyone having to wait for Goddard to be very carefully treated by those around him before being taken from the ground.
You always think of people's family in this situation back home in Melbourne watching. The great thing we know is that the best possible medical attention available in the country is on hand, and the good news, Brendan Goddard absolutely lucid, talking to the doctor, explaining exactly what had happened. Didn't appear to be knocked out or concussed by it, but obviously in a fair bit of pain. Talking them through it at the moment, as you can see.
These procedures managed very precisely these days. This is pre-match in the St Kilda rooms, and it appears that not only the players but the backup staff, the medical staff, the trainers and so on go through their own preparation.
I must admit I've never seen that before in a rooms. I hope there wasn't some sort of premonition this was going to happen today from the Saints. A little disconcerting to be practicing that while the players are walking around, but as we said, they are the best and most elite medical services you could ever have in AFL football. You wouldn't want to be anywhere else if you are injured. So thoughts with Brendan Goddard, who's an out-and-out champion of the competition. He's had a quiet start to the year, coming back to his all-time best form. They're not mucking around about going through the interchange gates. They're taking him straight down, and you would think that he won't play any further part today, but let's hope it's nothing as serious as it looks at the moment.
And such have been St Kilda's fortunes over these last 6 or 8 months that even when things looked as though they might have been getting onto a more secure footing, such as an outstanding opening quarter here, something of a major...
That's a good sign. Put his thumb up there, Brendan Goddard. So that's a great indication that he's feeling okay as he heads down to the rooms. Forgotten the impact of Lenny Hayes too. I know every side suffers key injuries, but certain players that you just can't afford to. Lenny Hayes and Brendan Goddard are the two of those.
Well, they're the two men who held St Kilda together in that drawn grand final, and both missing right now. Here's Mzungu for the Dockers. Just a handful of seconds left. Griffin a good mark, but I don't think time is going to permit a score as the ball hangs in the air and the siren beats Fremantle's attempt at a late goal. St Kilda's quarter in almost every sense, but the loss of Goddard a major blow. The Saints take in a 25-point lead.
Yeah, phenomenal start to this game by the Saints. Full credit to them. They came out with some great intensity, got the score on the board. A little bit of the gloss taken off with Brendan Goddard injured just on the eve of quarter time.
Side of the continent, and this is a shock. St Kilda totally dominating Fremantle in the opening term, leading by 25 points, and midfielders producing all 4 goals. Clinton Jones, an unlikely provider of 2 of them. At the break, Ross Lyon took his players to the boundary on the wing and into the shade. The Dockers with some shade from the base of a light tower. The umpires have broken up now. They were actually at the wider part of the shadow cast by the light tower, which would look a bit more smart to me. But Mark Harvey in the shade, not so all his players. An awful looking injury to Brendan Goddard late in that opening quarter. Tim Gossage, what have you been able to learn?
Well, I can tell you that Brendan Goddard is still on the stretcher. They've taken him off the trolley and basically transported into another room. He's still got his arms folded, in which the condition that he took when he went off the ground. Definitely a neck injury, and I'm told the ambulance is on the way. Now, he's conscious, as we've seen. They did get him to move his fingers and the like, but he's still lying flat on his back on the original stretcher that he went off the ground, and the ambulance is on its way to transport him to hospital. I'll keep you updated as the day unfolds.
Do you know whether the substitute has been activated?
I would assume so, Tim. I haven't really seen them at the moment. They're still in that huddle, but I'll keep an eye on that also.
That's a live shot from the St Kilda rooms.
It's great to see him on the way through there put his thumb up, wasn't it, to the crowd and say, you know, maybe a message to everyone at home. I'm okay. He's talking, and they'll keep the neck brace on as a precaution.
Well, our fingers are well and truly crossed. I asked about the substitute. Our computer not indicating that it has been activated as yet, so perhaps the Saints, just with the stadium a couple of years ago, could be another one in the offing.
Interesting that Nicholas Winmar, who is the substitute, didn't have a red vest or a green vest on.
Yeah, he's now lying on the ground. Yeah, Chris, he's lying on the ground. He has been activated.
Okay, so the green vest will go, of course, to... or the red vest, I should say, to Brendan Goddard, and Nicholas Winmar now will be inserted into the game. The cousin of St Kilda great Nicky Winmar. So second quarter underway here at Patterson Stadium. The Saints doing very well. They're up by 25 points. Pavlich an opportunity. Well done by Armitage, applying some pressure. Umpire letting it go. Mundy does well. 5. Now De Boer. Kicks it wide towards half forward. Van Berlo at the back. Dawson almost took the mark. Now a little fumble. Now he finds himself in trouble. Crowley does well. And his handball intended for Fife, just missing the target, and we'll get a boundary throw. In fact, it was Van Berlo out wide on the half-forward line, so a boundary throw in half-forward for the Dockers.
St Kilda dominated every area of the statistics in the first quarter. Inside 50, 16-8, and the clearances, they were clear winners as well. So Fremantle getting the first centre clearance would be one of the areas that Mark Harvey would have been pretty concerned about.
Saints win this clearance and gain 50 metres, get the ball back to the wing. I'd imagine Mark Harvey at quarter time might have reminded his players that St Kilda made a flying start against Hawthorn a couple of weeks back and then totally fell over and were thrashed. And it's a very warm day here. Won't be easy for the Saints as the match wears on. Already they're a man down. Goddard, Mundy, Pavlich. Fremantle just starting to do a little better in those clearance contests. Milne working back, as most of the Saints have been, and then they've scored on the reversal. Good effort by Mzungu going with the flight. In the end, Fremantle do win the footy, and Mzungu it is who gets the kick away to Fife. Takes it the wrong way, just couldn't find the right option, and Milne getting the important hand in before Pavlich getting into, out of trouble, and then kicking to one-on-one in the 50. Montagna, Broughton with him, inside to Schneider on that trusty old left. Under pressure, Armitage on the trusty left, and misses. The near side at that end's been popular.
Yeah, really good pressure again on centre wing from the Saints. Nathan Fife with clean hands, his left foot kick turned over, and you can see how quickly they're able to transition it through and creating some really good options inside 50, the Saints.
So McFarlane towards the wing, fisted away by McAvoy. Chance for Duffield, does well. And through Hill they bring it out, although over the head of the intended target, Ballantyne. Now Dempster, Dawson, McAvoy and Gwilt. Back to Dempster. Good pressure at the moment by the Dockers, I should say. McAvoy off to Ray. Awkward looking kick towards half forward. Chopped off by Ibbotson, although he gives it straight up to Stephen. Here's another opportunity, a vacant goal square. So he decides to go wide to Schneider. Back to Stephen. Lines up from 30. That's a really disappointing finish. In fact, the ball stays in play for the moment. Grover. A little handball to himself, not quite sure that was wise. Stephen trying to redeem himself. Revolt. Good desperate stuff there by Lynch. Diving on the ball. Shovels it out to Schneider. Handball intended for Fisher. They're under the pump here, the Dockers. Armitage. Pete can kick a goal from the top of the goal square. It's coming back, but it is wide.
Free kick. St Kilda's way, so advantage not taken. The umpire has decided, which I'm a little confused about. That was exactly what he said.
Well, this is where I get confused, because the new rule, which I don't agree with, I think it should be back with the umpires, but it is with the players. So if the player plays on, why would the umpire bring it back?
Well, we can only go by what he said. He said advantage not taken. Armitage picks it up, so there's the free kick. My understanding is if Pete decides to have a shot, then that stands, but a little bit of fortune in the way of St Kilda. Armitage gets an opportunity directly in front, shouldn't miss.
So he comes in from 20 metres and pops it through. St Kilda have 5.
Looking ugly for the Fremantle Dockers, down by 32 points. Looking ugly in the injury room too. Aaron Sipos has now gone down to the rooms with a sore shoulder for St Kilda, and Hayden Ballantyne off the ground for the second time with a shoulder problem, shoulder neck. He also has gone into the rooms.
So another advantage controversy there. And I've got to say, a problem with the execution of this rule is that it's confusing for everyone watching the game too. And the rules are meant to be understandable. We haven't got a clue just why the advantage wasn't paid there, and that the behind didn't stand. We'll have to have it explained to us during the week. Now, really, that is not adequate. The game's meant to be simple. Fans are meant to be able to understand it. Free kick to McFarlane here for being held, and the Fremantle fans give vent to their rage.
Well, they might have had some misfortune there with the advantage rule going against them, Fremantle, but I tell you what, their effort and their intensity to start this game is well below standard, and Mark Harvey will be filthy with the way they're going about at the moment, just nowhere near the intent St Kilda have got.
And this is about 4 times in this quarter they've given the ball up in midfield, just with sloppy hand passes that have been chopped off. It's become repetitive from the Dockers, and it's being reflected on the scoreboard, where they trail by 32 points.
Their intensity, I reckon, is lifted, but as you say, Tim, just their execution with skills not great at the moment. Mundy an opportunity. Well tackled by Peake. Crichton. Well done by Stephen, hacking a kick towards half forward, but chopped off by Ibbotson. Now a chance for Broughton, and his kick finds the mark. Taken by Palmer, just backward of the centre circle. So he's got Pavlich running for him wide, and Pavlich marks comfortably on his chest. That's about a handball to the running Hill. Now Hill can run to 50. He is a wonderful finisher, and this is just missing, just clipping the inside of the goalpost, if you don't mind. So Fremantle still yet to score a major in this match.
Well, there's Buddy Franklin and there's Cyril Rioli and there are many others, but is there a better sight in league football today than Stephen Hill loping down the ground like that and using that left boot? He didn't quite get the maximum result. Fremantle continue to be frustrated. Play on called and Main comes in hard, but Del Santo released the kick just in time. Sam Fisher, safe pair of hands. Well, I reckon McAvoy took that ball over quite deliberately, but he was virtually on the line, so the umpire gives him the benefit of the doubt.
Third time so far in the game, Ben McAvoy's had a really good look at the footy, got strong hands on it, just not quite able to bring the grab down. And as I said before, that will be the next area of his development.
Well done to Griffin. Oh, gee, a little fumble from Main was just a critical issue there. Got the handball. Wasn't the greatest of handball, but he just had a fumble. He may have had an opportunity to at least have a shot at goal, but it wasn't to be. So they've been able to lock it in at least in their forward 50, the Dockers. Griffin, who's doing well. Ball to the front. Chance for Winmar. Good tackle to Bohr. And Winmar retains hold of the football. And the umpire will bounce deep in the forward pocket for Fremantle.
Tim Gossage, you've got some news on Brendan Goddard.
Yeah, Brendan Goddard still talking, feeling marginally better. He's going to Sir Charles Gardner Hospital, which is about 5 minutes from here. They're waiting for the arrival of the ambulance. He's more worried about his gear and what he's going to wear when he leaves the hospital.
And a boundary throw in there as Hill takes it over. Thanks, Tim.
And also the St Kilda were very appreciative of the work of the Fremantle Dockers doctor and medical staff who are on hand to help him as well.
Well, that's great news. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and get more from Brendan Goddard hopefully very soon. So the kick out of defence by the Saints, chopped off by Grover. Fife kicks it back to centre half forward to Broughton.
One thing about St Kilda over the last 3 seasons where they have been playing in grand finals and competing is they're well organised, and today they've got their structures going beautifully.
And good mark taken by McAvoy. Broughton just chipped it up to a spot 20 metres from goal.
And that's the highlight reel that you want to see from Ben McAvoy, and I'm rapt to see him. He's been in the right spot on so many occasions, but what a difference that makes to your side when you clunk one, all of a sudden you get possession of the footy. You can go back and just reset here, as Nick Revolt's able to do.
Everyone working a long way up the ground. There will be some very tired boys tonight, as the commentators used to say in the black and white days. Here goes Stephen, Fisher, Schneider, back to Fisher, and the Saints hold it together in tight. The Dockers are failing to do that. Peake on the break, giving him something is Milne. Peake, though, goes long, and the Saints get the goal. Peake second. They're doing everything right.
Second goal, a brilliant, electrifying goal from Brett Peake, and has set the Fremantle crowd right back, the back of their seats. They are stunned. Saints out by 37 points. McAvoy down towards Montagna, taken by Fisher, well smothered by Pavlich. Now a chance for Ray. Good tackle by Ballantyne. So he looks to recovered from that shoulder problem and is back out on the ground. So a bounce between half forward and centre for the Dockers. And there's the Ballantyne tackle on Ray, a beauty. So becoming more desperate by the minute, the Dockers. McAvoy wins it down again, held up in the pack, so another bounce.
Brett Peake recruited to St Kilda for that exact reason, for that speed, ability to run and carry the footy. He knows this ground here so well, and he's been really able to provide some spark so far for the Saints today.
Pavlich inside attacking 50 to Bohr, well tackled by Gwilt. Oh, brilliant spin from Dawson, but he coughs it up. Ballantyne held without it. No free kicks as the umpire. Docker fans don't like it. Palmer, handball too fierce for Pavlich. Milne puts a step on now, out to Gwilt, to Fisher at centre half back, and at the moment St Kilda have got all the answers, and a good kick finds Lynch.
A real contrast there for me, Brett. It was in fact Stephen Milne went really hard for the footy as Rewalt takes the mark, and it was Hayden Ballantyne throwing his arms out trying to play for a free kick. Didn't get it. St Kilda a lot harder at the moment.
That was a beautiful kick by Lynch to Revolt. Revolt's to Milne was even better. And he's 45, almost 50 metres out and right on the boundary. But the way things are flowing at the moment, nothing would surprise you here. And Stephen Milne, I'd imagine, will be thinking just that. He's always the one for some bold optimism in these circumstances. The Saints by 37 points. This has been quite extraordinary. From 48, he's always near side. But the Dockers are still goalless, and they scarcely look like kicking one.
Muzungu, a full back for the Dockers. St Kilda have got a full press on, and the Dockers flooding one side of the ground, so this will be interesting as the kick to hell hoops up. Couldn't hold on. Spectacular leap. Fisher. Close quarters to Winmar, who scrangs it forward off the side of the boots. Free kick to the Dockers at half back.
Just their zone really well, St Kilda. They read the play, saw that, as you call Chris Fremantle, really favouring this commentary side of the ground here at Patterson Stadium. They just closed the space in around them.
So the kick towards the wing, Fife almost, but he gathers at ground level. Now here's an opportunity. Handball not great for Pavlich. Now the Dockers in trouble. Fisher off to Schneider. Winmar kicks it towards Revolt. Had too much on the kick, and McFarlane did cleverly to just push him under the contest and retreat back, but a boundary throw in the forward pocket.
They are
for St Kilda.
All at sea at the moment, the Dockers. They're not hard enough, and their skills, basic handballs, basic kicks, are really simple parts of the game. They just can't get anything going at all.
Dockers have got to defend hard here. Pavlich, Revolt there too, is opposite number.
It's almost contagious, Tim. I mean, even the superstar Pav, I mean, that's a couple of fumbles at ground level. When he's playing really well, that just doesn't happen. Fife's handball. It's a 2-metre handball that misses, puts Pavlich under unnecessary pressure, flowing through the whole side at the moment.
It's as though they're spooked by the Saints, who they haven't beaten for a long time, and perhaps the Sun. They almost look as though they're going at half pace. Here's Main for Fremantle, and now Mundy. Now there's virtually no one forward of him. He's got to tread water, but he can't afford to stop. And he gives to Crowley, who wasn't able to get far enough forward to make this shot a really comfortable one. He's got to kick it from outside 50. They just need a goal to get started, to get some belief. Now he's taken a bit of a risk, but he's done it well, and Duffield will line them up from about 10 metres closer. So this becomes a shot that should be converted. Duffield goalless this year, just 19 in his 77 games before today, so not a noted converter. Right now he's got to grit the teeth and just do it. His team 38 points down. The climb starts here. And he's done it. He's nailed it. The crowd were applauding before it was halfway there.
So Paul Duffield kicks Fremantle's first goal 15 minutes into the second quarter. Maybe it can be a spark for them. Kepler Bradley in the ruck to do battle against McAvoy. McAvoy easily. Polo couldn't control it. Stephen. Polo with pressure from Main. Now the Dockers an opportunity. Well played by Van Berlo. Gave it straight up to Milne though. And no high tackle. And the umpire signalling the wrong way initially, confusing the Fremantle fans. St Kilda free kick. So Del Santo spreads it wide to Gwilt. Gilbert made position, attacking side of the wing. No pressure on the mark from Pavlich, so he's able to wander off, kick it deep inside attacking 50. Chance for Ibbotson. Now, was he tackled high? Fremantle fans wanted it. Now a chance for Armitage, working his way clear, kicks it back to Milne, who doesn't take the mark. Picked up by Polo. Stephen threads it back. Handball missed the mark, although missed in turn by Palmer. Jones, high to the pocket. Chance for Armitage, couldn't take it. Gee, Bradley was held a long time in the tackle. No free kick. Sipos, back to Gilbert. Gilbert from hard up against the line. Deep in the forward pocket. Tries to bring it back. Can't. Behind only to St Kilda.
Nick Revolt in strife. I watched him right throughout that situation. He looked as though his collarbone went back unbelievably courageously with the flight, and since then he hasn't been able to lift his right arm up. Trainer came out and I thought he was coming off the ground, but just hanging in there in the kick-out situation, but definitely trying to get himself off the ground. Revolt.
McAvoy there Fife, another steal by the Saints. Montagna, lovely long ball, very long ball, another goal.
Well, there's the good news. Here's Nick Revolt. He's stayed out in the ground. As always, no regard for his own safety in any situation. Looked as though he was trying to get straight off the ground, but he stayed out there. So it might just be the old-fashioned stinger, Chriso.
Yeah, looks to be okay. So the margin out to 39. Blake wins it to Del Santo. Ray around the body towards half-foot Peak almost. Couldn't quite hold on. Mill does well to tap it to Peak outside of the boot. Revolt.
Great.
Brilliant pickup it was. Wide towards Fisher. Awkward looking kick, but it's okay. It's effective. Mark taken by Armitage. Just the bare 15, if at all.
How good's that from Revolt?
This is a brilliant pickup. Look at that. Absolutely sensational. Handballing in the one motion.
Given the fact that 30 seconds before he couldn't move his right arm, next contest he's involved in, he just committed himself to it, had his eyes firmly on the footy, and in one motion to be able to shovel that out. Just incredible stuff.
So David Armitage here with an opportunity to extend the lead to 45 points. Just missing. So the margin out to 40 points now, and we watch the Revolt work again.
Well,
almost resulting in a goal.
Yeah, it's what you tell kids down at Auskick, isn't it? When you play any ball sport, you focus in on the ball and nothing else. And you can just see Revolt's eyes there, and he never, ever took them off the footy. He was able to pick that up so cleanly.
Broughton goes down the line, and the Dockers win the ball. Ballantyne under pressure, though. Dispossessed. Saints work in close, has been of the highest order. Brings back memories. What is different is that the goals continue to come from the midfield. 7 out of 7 today. 2 to Jones, 2 to Montagna, 2 to Peak, 1 to Armitage. Should have been 2 to Armitage, missed a moment ago. And they haven't been major contributors prior to this season. McAvoy getting it onto his boot, no result. Pavlich all tied up.
They've got some really good matchups working for them as well around the contest. Sean Dempster's taken Hayden Ballantyne right out of the contest. We know that they get a lot of spark out of him. Clinton Jones has got the job on Stephen Hill. He's had a couple of flashy moments, but not really the impact that his coach would want.
Wilt's been good, using the right boot here. Only uses it in an emergency. Dangerous spill. Whistle's gone.
Saints way.
St Kilda free kick. It'll be a shot for goal from 30.
Just Grover making front on contact there, Tim. He took his eyes off the ball and ran back at Sipos. So you look at this. Grover decides to turn around. You make front on contact. That's a free kick.
So Aaron Sipos to line them up. He's kicked 4 goals in his 3 games and could be classed as a forward. He could be the first forward to actually kick a goal here for the Saints, and he puts it right through the middle and they go further ahead.
Now these are live pictures with Brendan Goddard being transferred into an ambulance to go to Charles Gardner Hospital. But the positive is that he's been talking and looks to be in the best possible way at the moment. So we'll keep our fingers crossed there that everything's okay. From the bounce, chance for Del Santo, just toe poking it towards half forward. Lynch, Del Santo, off a step, he kicks into the pocket. Almost a clever effort. Well done by the Dockers. They clear now through Broughton, and it's well done off to Lower. Mzungu, oh gee, didn't make a good fist of that. Turnover, Del Santo wide to Stephen. Stephen, little handball to Mill, feeds it back. Ray's got a good look at them from 50. Wobbly old kick wide of the play, and Van Berlo allows it to hit the behind post. So a boundary throw in deep in the right forward pocket for the Saints.
Used to hear a lot last year about Saints footy and the brand that they wanted to impose on the rest of the competition. This is exactly what made them an unbelievable side in the last 3 years. They close the opposition down, they score themselves. Fremantle at the moment have got no answers at all to what is going on. They've got the right matchups around the middle of the ground. They're shutting down the key players they need to shut down, and they're creating opportunities for their gun players as well. And given Goddard we just saw on his way to hospital, it's been a remarkable effort.
Oh, Schneider brought down there. That was close to a free kick. as the crowded tussle for the footy goes on. And eventually there'll be a ball up. Look at that mess of players.
And that's what they were so good at and have been so good at for so long. They're just starting to get that back. Love the contested situation. Happy to have numbers in their own forward half of the ground. Back themselves in. Wear the opposition down one-on-one. Tackle harder. Win more contested possession. You can just see, look at the effort. 3 or 4 Saints piling in on top. The Dockers just look lifeless at the moment.
The manner of creation of their goals, though, is different, isn't it? And it's Saints footy Mark II, perhaps. Who knows where it might lead. Umpire Jeffrey pounding it down. Sam Fisher gets in there to lower, dispossessed. Dockers giving up the ball so often in these contests. Ballantyne just kicking and hoping to get a result. He gets a result all right, but it's not the one he wanted. Here go the Saints again. Dawson is good with that left boot, and on the end of it, well, it's a mark and it's a free kick.
And it'll be 52, and they're going after Hayden Ballantyne because it was late. And they don't want to get this reverse. They have they? Oh, no. He's done exactly what he wanted to do, Hayden Ballantyne. And
he's
credit to him. He's a pest. He's the greatest pest in the game. And he sucked them right in there with that.
Well, that's one of the Saints' first major mistakes today, and the offending player will be entitled to expect a rocket. Ballantyne, a long ball. Johnson climbing in. On such moments, games can swing. Fremantle free kick. Suddenly the crowd getting involved.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on that moment. 5.25 minutes remaining in the first half. Ballantyne just got under the skin of Snyder. I reckon it might have been. It was a 50-metre penalty walk-in goal. Reversal. Is this a little bit of a spark for the Dockers?
McFarlane over the top to Crichton, who kicks wide towards De Boer. He can't prevent it from going over, and De Boer just thought about motioning to Crichton there. Wonderful opportunity. Now, this is the incident involving Ballantyne and the reversal. Umpire Jeffrey right on the spot there.
So they lost a 50 and a free kick. It's a big swing, isn't it?
Beautiful tap to Duffield. He runs to 50 now. One out in the goal square. Main and Dawson. Oh, gee, Dawson did brilliantly. Fisted it away to Dempster. Now to Gwilt, and Saints out of trouble. Gee, for a moment he was in trouble there, Dawson, but he did brilliantly. Now Van Berlo tracking it. Well done, Winmar, applying some pressure. Lynch brought down by Ballantyne. Well played by Hayden Ballantyne. His handball, though, was astray. Good pressure coming from Dempster, and they bring it away, St Kilda. Chance here for Armitage. Off to Revolt. Front of the centre square. Drives it deep towards Pete Pavlich. Too big, too strong.
Too good and desperately needed. He gives to Crichton. Well, Fremantle had a 2-on-1 out on the outer wing, and they really should have won that contest. They finished up barely preventing St Kilda from kicking another goal. It has been an insipid performance so far, and one doesn't say that lightly or often, because this is an elite competition, but it's been a very poor effort, admittedly, against a revved up and impressive opponent.
A little bit going in off the footy here. De Boer and Montagna. And on the borderline, the boys there. The old-fashioned jumper punch.
That's a minute or two ago. Play goes on here. Duffield, who's kicked Fremantle's only goal and has been one of their better performers. His kick here is not great. And Zach Dawson has done many a good thing today. Not sure whether holding the ball above his head is one of them, but anyway, he's executed that old ploy, and he delivers to Farron Ray.
Yeah, you're right. In a couple of big moments, Zach's had one-on-ones. His defensive effort before, when he was way out of position on Main, I think it was a goal-saving effort.
Ray high towards half forward. Pavlich, ball to the back. Montagna. A little handball along the line. Chance for Sipos. Did it well. Handball inside. Armitage had to stretch, but got there. Good pressure. Now a chance for Broughton. Needs to be clean here. Handball had too much on it for Van Berlo. Boundary throw-in in the forward pocket.
What's the difference in when a St Kilda player has the footy? He's got time and the ability to run away. Steve Montagna's.
See, off the shoulder look.
Got half a jumper hanging off.
Looking more like Tarzan.
Fremantle, when they get the footy, they are under enormous pressure.
And De Boer put him down again. Chance for Fisher, off to Stephen. Another goal here would really hurt. No, mark not taken by Lynch. Had an opportunity. Jones and Hill. So another boundary thrown in the opposite pocket.
So De Boer's obviously been set for Lee Montagna really try and take him out of the game. Montagna 2 goals, 12 possessions, 8 of those contested. He's had 3 clearances, so really needs to try and lock down on Montagna.
Bradley in the ruck for Fremantle in that exchange, banging it back to the line. Still plenty to stay interested in this game. The margin out to 46, but it is a very hot day. St Kilda a man down. If they copped another injury, well, who knows what could happen in this second half. It could be a day for a major reversal, but Fremantle will have to improve out of sight. Mzungu bangs it clear in the Crowley direction, but he was overpowered. Ballantyne did well, but the numbers stacked against him, and Gwilt takes it over and he's gone. No, it's going to be thrown in.
Lucky.
I reckon the umpire paused and had a serious think about that one, but Jacob Mollison decided that he would let Gwilt off, and I reckon he's a bit lucky.
He hasn't got a great poker face, Gwilt, because he looked at the umpire almost apologetically.
High tackle on Duffield. Now he's got a player. Oh, that's got to be 50 metres, surely.
It's got to be.
And Fremantle fans not happy. He clearly stepped over the mark, Schneider.
Oh, that's extraordinary.
So he's forced to go back to Crichton. He's got Duffield short again. Gee, just a minute 40 left in the half, and Fremantle would love a goal just to try and build some sort of momentum going into the long break. Nick Lower with it on centre wing. Not much on. Very stagnant in front of him. The big man Griffin's there. He's just got to plonk it on his head, I think. It's his best option. He does exactly that. So there'll be a contest at half forward. Griffin at the back, got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Jones fighting hard with Hill at the base of the pack, and a bounce 55 metres from Fremantle's goal.
There's the 50-metre penalty that we probably thought was there, with Snyder edging over the mark. In fact, it looked like a certain 50.
Well, it was very significant too, because he had men running loose ahead of him, and if he was able to get the kick away, Fremantle had a real chance at it. Here's Pavlich, and he's got the fumbles. It's all gone wrong for the Dockers. They really need to regroup at the long interval, which is less than a minute away.
Had a bit of the footy, Pav, 11 disposals, but hasn't had anything that's been damaging, or had it in the half of the ground where he's either set up goals or scored himself. So they're really on top. Here he is now, and again, just being taken off the footy. He'll get a free kick.
Fremantle's worst ever first half on their home ground was against St Kilda 7 years ago, 2004. 1 goal for, which is exactly what they are now, although they might be about to improve on that. And St Kilda were 8 goals for at halfway in that game, but Nathan Fyfe can make a mark on that little bit of history right here.
He certainly made a mark this season, Nathan Fyfe. His second year in the AFL is averaging 27 disposals a game, coming off 30 last week. Really exciting young player, this man.
Just 4 kicks up until now, and a few hand passes, and he's missed that. So at least they avoid comparison in the history book with that 2004 team, but that's all, because they're still 45 points down, and barring something pretty major here by the Saints by way of catastrophe, that's the way it's going to be. Clock doesn't tick until, well, the umpire's called play on, and Del Santo just gives it off via a short option, and that'll be it. And the Saints, are they back? They're certainly showing good signs. 8 goals to 1 in the opening half. The Dockers are stunned, the crowd stunned. The Saints lead by 45.
Well, just got to cast your mind back to 12 months ago. This is the sort of footy you'd expect week in, week out from St Kilda. They walk in at half-time feeling as though everything they planned came to shape today. The big story, though, Brendan Goddard in hospital. Let's hope he's okay.
Have you got any idea as to the symptoms that are causing the concern in relation to Goddard? We haven't got you there. Check on that in a while.
So Fremantle.
Tim, we got you now, Tim? No.
No, he's just lost his microphone down there momentarily, Tim, so we'll get back to him in just a moment. But you can see the Fremantle players being addressed by Matthew Pavlich there, embracing and looking for a special effort. The beauty of being down by so much at half-time is you've still got 60 minutes to work your way back into it. So their aim will be to try and outscore St Kilda by 3 or so goals, maybe 4 goals in this third quarter, get back to within 3.5 goals perhaps, and then have a final quarter tilt, knowing that they've got a substitute, Dylan Robertson, ready to come on, and that will be the advantage that they'll have over St Kilda, who are down Brendan Goddard.
St Kilda 2010, I would say no chance at all, because they were just too organised, they were too disciplined and too professional. There's no way that they would give up a 45-point lead, albeit away and interstate. Given what's happened this year, and this has been a fantastic first half, I suppose even for the players, there's still that little belief question inside their head. They're thinking, well, we've got it back. Okay, we're playing the style we can, but 3 or 4 goals, Matty Pavlich catches fire. You get a couple of their electric midfielders, Stephen Hill on the end of a few, and they just get a bit of momentum, and it'll ask the question of St Kilda, because I don't know that they have quite got their belief 100%.
How do you think, and how important is it that the Dockers play and train in these sort of conditions regularly, and St Kilda coming out?
It is an incredible home ground advantage over here in Western Australia. At their height, when both these teams play really well, it is a really tough ask to come over to West. 1, the distance you travel. 2, the shape and size of the ground. And the third factor, which is almost the most important, is the conditions. We've come out of the Melbourne winter. It's 10 degrees when you flew out they would have come over on Friday. All of a sudden it's 24. The second half heat's a factor.
St Kilda by 45. It is a massive lead. It will take a monumental effort, but it's that sort of day where strange things can happen. Ray well tackled by Broughton, but he was well tackled in turn, and Del Santo's able to seize upon the spillage in the revolt direction. McFarlane led him to it. Awkward wobbling ball. Getting it off to Van Berlo. Was there high contact? There was. And it's Fremantle's ball. The halftime free kicks were actually 9-7 Fremantle's way, but their fans obviously feeling that some crucial events didn't go their way. Mzungu to Johnson. Had to wait a little while for it to sit up for him. St Kilda clogging them in midfield. Fremantle not coming out of defence with any certainty. De Boer, though, off to Mzungu and has a man running for him. Lower, back to Mzungu. Good user of the ball. Kept it wide. Blake sees it over.
Did well Lower, but needed to just apply a shepherd after he gave the ball back to Mzungu to try and give him some freedom, perhaps deliver a little better into the forward 50. But as it is, the Dockers have it in their attacking zone with an opportunity. Gee, wouldn't an early goal here be a real tonic for them? Chance at the back for Dawson. Del Santo just jams it on the boot hurriedly, and Mzungu misses the mark. Perhaps should have taken it. Johnson did well to paddle it back to McFarlane. Needs support. Mzungu again. Now Johnson with an opportunity. Just kicks it towards the top of the goal square. Need a big mark. Fisted away by Blake. Well done, Dempster. Handball, though, missing the mark. Won't be happy with that. He wasn't under any pressure, and a boundary throw in the forward pocket for Fremantle.
Saints set up a really big lead at quarter time. They kept Fremantle goalless, led by 26 points, because they just had more intensity around the contest. They won the clearances in the first half, but all those 50-50 balls all went the Saints' way, and the indications are that it's a similar vein that they're starting the second half with.
St Kilda really crowding Fremantle. It's a statement of the obvious, but at the throw-in there were 8 players on the field not in St Kilda's defensive 50, and 4 of those were virtually on the paint. There's the size of it. Same state of play. Only 4 players on the ground well clear of the 50. And we're going to see long periods, I think, of not much happening down in Freo's front half.
I mentioned a couple of times already today about St Kilda having their structures right, and this is what Ross Lyon coach sides have always done. They get the zones right, they get numbers back, as Tim Lane just pointed out there, when they need to. They get the right matchups, and it really has been a disciplined performance so far from St Kilda. Jones
under immense pressure, putting it out on the full. So Fremantle giving some of their own back. And Ibbotson will kick from about 50 or just outside. Doesn't get much tougher, really, with the man on the mark at about 48. The distance, and the man on the mark can run in a bit from there, I think. So he's got the distance and the angle to deal with, and he doesn't manage it. And still, the Dockers have just 1 goal to bless themselves with.
So Gwilt at fullback, St Kilda defending grimly there. Now Fremantle's task will be to try and lock it in their forward half. Give themselves another opportunity. Kick is a good one. Mark taken by Dempster. Still inside defensive 50 for St Kilda. And one thing we don't want to see St Kilda do is fall into the trap of being too defensive, Luke, because it might all come undone for them. Del Santo, good creative handball, setting Blake away. He kicks high to the wing. Going back, desperation. Johnson couldn't quite get back far enough to complete the mark. Knocks it over, boundary throw in on centre wing.
You'd think scoring goals, playing the way St Kilda are, would take a tremendous toll on them because they've got to do so much running.
Yeah, absolutely. Their mark play on stats coming in to this round have been the second highest in the competition, and I think that's a real shift in the way that Ross Lyon wants his team to play. They are prepared to give that first give. They'll reel and play on, and that is what broke the game open the first quarter. And I agree with you. I don't think it's time to go away from that. It's a really good style. They've got Nick Revolt down there one-on-one with Luke McFarlane. Milne's in good form. Keep playing on.
Del Santo an opportunity. Try to get it back towards McAvoy. He's well tackled and pushing the back. So Paps there against Griffin, and McAvoy, who was a late replacement for Kosicki, with the free kick on centre wing. Feeds it off quickly to Dempster. Confronted by Ballantyne, so forced to kick quickly inside the attacking 50. Fisted away by Van Berlo. Grover got it off quickly to Crowley. Mzungu. Oh, gee, that's a shocking kick, a poor turnover, and it's certainly been part of Fremantle's play for much of the day. So Fisher with it on the wing, and he chips it to Gilbert, who thought about going. He'll settle back and now try and find a way through this Fremantle defence.
Well, you think if St Kilda get the first goal here, it's game over. Here's Fisher, and he takes it wide. And Dean Polo, former Tiger, who made such an auspicious start. I think it was 6 years ago in the Dreamtime game, so almost to the weekend when he won the Yoyukan Trophy for the best player on the ground, but now finds himself at a second club from 49. High, pretty handsome, wobbling the goal post. It was a monstrous kick. It hit it high up. And it was just a tissue paper from giving St Kilda a 50-point lead.
So Fremantle with the football with Michael Johnson at fullback. Decides to kick long. Broughton, perhaps the target, got hands to it just before it went over. So a boundary throw in at half forward for St Kilda, but just a bit of stinging out of the game in the early part of this third quarter.
Which is not what you would have wanted from a Fremantle point of view. You'd love to have seen them really just smashing in hard, someone setting the tone, laying a hard tackle. Hasn't happened yet.
Polo, well tackled by Lower, tying it up. Bounce. 49 from St Kilda's goal. 25 points was St Kilda's lead at quarter time, 45 at half time. That's where it stands at the moment. Del Santo gets it off to Gilbert, who tries to pull it back and can't. It's out on the full, so a free kick to the Dockers in the back pocket will go to Michael Johnson.
We gave the stat before the game, Tim. The last 5 times Aaron Sandilands has missed. Fremantle have lost, and spoke to him just at half-time. And terrible
calamity
kick.
And Peake will line them up. He kicked the first goal of the game, and he should kick the first goal of the second half.
Point I was making, you're looking for someone with some presence and someone that at least can smash the ball 50 metres forward, or someone who can bowl someone over. And the 7-foot star, he's on the sidelines for a while. At the moment, no one else is looking like it for Fremantle.
So Brett Peake to just about put it out of Fremantle's reach. There is a decided lack of comeback energy about the Dockers. Straightforward shot. He's kicked 2. He's kicked 3, and the Saints lead by 51.
So 3 goals to Brett Peake, and well, one of those mistakes from Michael Johnson where you want to try and find a hole and bury yourself, because he just coughed it up and Peake the easiest of opportunities from directly in front, 30 metres. And Mark Harvey can't believe what's transpired this afternoon. His team trails by 51 points. Keppel Bradley in the ruck, beaten by McAvoy. Ibbotson ran into trouble. Well tackled by McAvoy. Peake involved again, and another ball up. This crowd's been silenced as well.
Matty Pavlich is one out inside 50. 12 disposals in the game, but no real impact. And obviously they'd love to have him there as their best player in the middle of the ground to try and impose himself in the contest, but they also need him inside 50. So that's what they're going to do at the moment. Sam Fisher's gone with him everywhere on the ground today. He's pushed up in the midfield with him as well.
So again, an opportunity. And held in by Montagna, and another bounce. And this is one of the ugly parts of our game, with so many players getting around the football, congesting, and bounce after bounce at the minute.
It's talking about their structures today, Chris. So again, it was Gwilt dropping back in front of Pavlich. He's got Fisher behind. They are just making it really hard for Fremantle. Every time they try and set up an advantage, Pavlich one-on-one. They're really well organised today, and they're getting the right matchups, the right players in the right spots, and winning the hard contested situation as well.
So there's Matthew Pavlich.
In front of him now, Jason Blake just drops off and makes sure that Pavlich doesn't get a clean run at it.
This time Ibbotson an opportunity. Well done Broughton. Got their quick hands to Bradley de Boer. Chased down by Jones. Support out wide by Hill. He was held by the arm after he got the handball away. No free kick. Jones is desperate. And again the ball's tied up under de Boer. Oh gee, head clash there between Polo and his teammate Schneider. But another bounce. This time the attacking side of the centre line for the Dockers.
Stephen Hill nearly got free there, but look at the numbers getting across for St Kilda, and Dean Polo, as you called there, Chris, just putting his head in a little harder than anyone else.
The umpire being patient or being optimistic, but eventually having to concede and come in and ball it up again. The Dockers going nowhere, 51 points down. This is a really black day. So I said at the outset they could slip out of the 8 if they lose this game. If Richmond win in Darwin tonight, now that Sydney have won, the Dockers could find themselves dropping to 9th. Here's Revolt hitting it hard, but he was solidly met. McFarlane, Pavlich and Mzungu. But again, they can't go directly. It's taken wide, and Palmer on the stretch collects for Fremantle. And has an overlap here. Duffield, who's been running forward and giving them an option, and he does it well here. And Hill will line them up from about 40 when he kicks, and he really should nail this.
Stephen Hill has had Clinton Jones as his tagger. They've both had 8 disposals. Clinton Jones has kicked 2 goals, so absolutely the points to the tagger in Jones, but an opportunity for Stephen Hill to get one back.
And Hill looking quite fatigued as he made his way back for the kick. He'd probably run hard to get there, but it's almost appeared as though the Dockers have struggled more in the heat than the visitors. Now, Fremantle needing this for their second goal. Hill just holds it. He hooked it a little, and he kicks the goal.
Much needed goal from Stephen Hill for the Fremantle Dockers. Now concerned with David Mundy. He came off the ground complaining of a right ankle problem. He's had it restrapped. He was somewhat concerned, and there he is there. He's a key midfielder. They need him back out there if they're going to have any chance of winning this.
Thanks, Tim. One down by Blake. Bradley tried to take it clear, couldn't. Stephen wrestles it. Well done, Crichton. Stood his ground. Stephen ran into him. Now a chance for Blake, who hacks it towards half forward. Sipos, brilliantly done. Well done, Michael Johnson. Applied the tackle immediately. Now Schneider from the boundary line pulls it back. It's bouncing through. That's an incredible goal from Adam Schneider.
He's such a smart, classy player, Adam Schneider. You just see, I love his awareness on a game of footy. Just a little shove there to create some space, and he absolutely planned that was going to bounce that way by getting that rotation on it. You might say that there's an element of luck in that, not when Snyder kicks the footy. Not going to be Fremantle's day today.
Lower works it forward, but St Kilda have the numbers against Pavlich. In fact, 4 of them. And they bring him to earth. The umpire letting it go. And eventually calling for the ball up that looked pretty apparent about 10 seconds earlier.
It's just the Saints, again, 2-on-1. Third one is Dempster ready to pounce on it. They're just outnumbering, outworking Fremantle around the footy.
Dockers fans want ball and they get it. So Palmer will take the free kick too far out to score. Now they want 50 as Jones was pursuing Hill around the back. Made contact with Palmer. who sits it up. Griffin's forward, couldn't get to the drop. Del Santo out to Peak, who's been a very important player. Gwilt, too wide. Docker's ball, but probably just too far out. In fact, certainly too far out, even for Stephen Hill, the man on the mark, at about 55. Again, the Saints clogging the defence of 50.
Just asking the cameraman there to move out the way. Get an extra couple of metres. Well, you know what? It's not beyond Stephen Hill if he decided to go a barrel. I don't think he will, but I'd love to see him do it. Imagine this sailing through. That'd be a spark.
Giving it some thought, but he lays up, and he lays up to about 3 Saints. And Farron Ray
did he forget that Aaron Sandilands wasn't playing?
Well, I look at his teammates down the ground, and you have to know what your teammate's going to do in that situation. That was a set-up kick. Why haven't you got someone there contesting for it?
So the kick comes towards half-back and fisted over, boundary throw-in. Well, it looked like a specific team play, team strategy, but just no one there for the Dockers at the front of the top of the goal square. So Bradley in front, pushed out by Blake.
Push out, Kepler Bradley, push out.
And he'll take the free kick.
This hasn't been able to get into the contest at all. Kepler Bradley, disposal number 6 coming up. He's been in really good form this year. They need a lift from the big fella.
Goes very wide in the direction of Main, who takes the mark. He's been paid. Look, not the best spot in terms of which to take a kick, but at least the Dockers have got possession, and Main with an opportunity from close to the boundary line to kick for goal. His set shots this year, 10 goals, 13. He's kicked 14-14 in all, so you wouldn't have a lot of confidence from this particular angle, but maybe it's a shot in the arm the Dockers need. Chris Main. Missing to the near side.
The stats pretty incriminating, 10-14, and not a lot of practice today. He's had 2 kicks. Saints by 50. And half the third quarter gone. And any expectation of a Fremantle revival fading fast. Del Santo placing the ball to Revolt. McFarlane there with the spoil. De Boer well harassed by Peak. Faulty hand pass. Blake to Peak. And now it is wide open for Schneider, who's going to run in and kick his second goal in about 3 minutes. He can go all the way. Nothing Duffield can do. And the Saints pile on the agony for the home team.
There he is, Adam Schneider, in behind the defence and strolling in for the easiest of goals, extending St Kilda's lead to 56 points. He doesn't look too happy, does he?
One of those situations, a player at 3/4 time, you get in, you don't make any eye contact, don't be the last one in. Mark Harvey's going to tear someone's head off.
So from the bounce, McAvoy fighting very hard for his team. Chance for Hill. Crowley couldn't get kick away. Del Santo, well tackled. Well done, Duffield. Got it clear, but only as far as Pola, who gathered it very impressively. Now kick towards half forward. Now McFarlane, who's done a great job on Revolt this afternoon, puts on the afterburners, sprints away, long towards the wing, but it's 2-on-1 to St Kilda, and they almost muck it up, but Sam Fisher holds firm and marks comfortably in the end at centre wing.
I don't know that I've ever seen a team take the ball off its opposition in midfield as much as St Kilda have done it to Fremantle today, although the roles are reversed here and the Dockers are a chance. Johnson from 4 to the centre for Ballantyne. He's got it, and he'll go back and take a comfortable set shot.
First time he's been able to get off his marker, Sean Dempster, and it created a turnover. Dempster was pushing up, doing the right thing, and he got caught out a bit on the turnover. Ballantyne going back with the fly to the footy. Hasn't had any impact today. Sean Dempster's done a great job.
Well, it's the way this game's been played. If you can strip your opponent of the ball in midfield and maintain possession, there's every chance of setting up a comfortable goal or a big miss. A blooper of a kick from Ballantyne.
This is a nightmare for Mark Harvey. He would be just sitting there absolutely fuming Steam coming out of his ears. You can live with skill errors. They occasionally happen, but I think the thing that will just be breaking his heart is that they've just lacked intensity. They've lacked the same sort of will that St Kilda have brought to the table today.
So Gould from full-back, thumping kick towards half-back. Chance for Griffin. Got clear, should have given the handball perhaps a little earlier. Jones, Lynch, and eventually Lynch around the body towards half-back. Armitage, Milne will swoop on the loose ball. He's got it hard up against the line on centre wing. Not the greatest of kicks. Blake couldn't gather. He does now. Good tackle coming from Pavlich, but it's also St Kilda revolt. Kicks towards Schneider again, who's got the set and takes the mark and runs in for his third for the quarter.
Well, at one end, Hayden Ballantyne misses an absolute sitter from 15 out. But 30 seconds later, Saints take it coast to coast. Snyder kicks his third of the quarter. And look at Mark Harvey, who's wandered down early to the boundary line, fuming.
Well, this day just gets worse. It has been an absolute shocker for Fremantle, and every aspect of their 2011 performance and hopes will have to be reappraised. Dempster clearing. Lynch, second gamer for the Saints, just bumping the kick forward. Sipos overpowered there. McFarlane on the revolt tackle to De Boer. Now Mundy, who has been able to come back, forced wide, forced back, forced way back, and the Dockers are on their knees, just really having to try and reduce the damage on the board right now. It keeps getting worse. McFarlane to Broughton. Now along the other wing for Johnson. Just 2 goals for the day in the best part of 3 quarters of footy, in perfect conditions, albeit hot ones. Well done McAvoy, who came in Koschitzky's stead for the game. Koschitzky, we're told, with ankle soreness. So it's been McAvoy against Griffin when the A-team ruckman have been together, as they are right now.
Working in front was McAvoy. De Boer.
Wolsey would have approved of that throw-in, Chris.
A bit short. So St Kilda go forward through Lynch. Not a great kick. In fact, out on the full, and Nick Revolt not too happy with the delivery. But he'd be very happy with the way his team's played this afternoon. So footy with Broughton at centre half back. He kicks towards the wing. Fife in front. Got hands to it. Couldn't complete the mark. His recovery is good. Mzungu off to Van Berlo. Back to Fife. Looking for support. They're being hemmed in. They're being put under enormous pressure. Hill tackled by Jones. And we'll get a bounce between wing and half forward for the Dockers. But just no flow. They can't get any flow to the game at the moment, Fremantle.
It's a credit to St Kilda, Clinton Jones, their intensity, their tackle pressure, and their overall performance today from St Kilda has been wound the clock back to their best of last year.
Good handball by Mundy to Pavlich. Babs an opportunity here. Now whistle on play.
It's a Fremantle free kick, and it's going Kepler Bradley's way, Chris O, against Zach Dawson in the right forward pocket off the footy. So Zach just infringing there.
So Bradley with an opportunity. Well, kick from 30, no more than that. Angle 45 degrees, as you can see. And I just wonder there, well, maybe the St Kilda players stopped, but advantage might have been a good call to make. Weren't given that luxury. Bradley, drop punt, is a goal. And finally, the Dockers have goal number 3.
Dylan Robinson has been activated, the sub, and taking the red vest and out for the rest of the game is Jesse Crichton. 25-minute mark of the third quarter seems to be the common time for the sub.
Matty Pavlich pushes himself back into the centre of the ground.
Still St Kilda by 55 points, and they've stretched the lead in this third quarter. The Horses bolted from a Fremantle point of view. They could bring on 3 subs, and I don't think they'd be getting back into this one now. And Mark Harvey knows it. Awful day for the Dockers. Fans still here in the main. Imagine a few of them might have left and gone to the beach. Dempster tackled, gone. Crowd urging the umpire and eventually getting the verdict. McFarlane to Mzungu. Stabbing ball to Lower. Did well to hold on. Mzungu will be under the pump. Gets his kick. Ballantyne attacking it. Duffield there with him. There's a whistle from off the ball. Field umpires conferring. Confusion.
Your free kick, Hayden. It's not the ball free kick. Nick, it's a free kick 100 metres away. We can't comment.
From 100 metres away. An infringement by St Kilda sees Ballantyne with the footy kicking from about 49.
Yeah, the umpire to say, Nick, 100 metres away, you can't comment, but I think the umpires are confused. It must have been one way back here in defence, because all three umpires looking at each other.
I think it was Robertson and Peake off the ball at the very other end of the ground. Umpire Mollison.
Now, Hayden Ballantyne with a howler of a kick from about 25 metres a little while ago for redemption from 50. Got the journey, got the timber.
Well, it's a long, long way back, but you just felt if that goal had been scored, they go back and kick another one, get 3 in a row, go into three-quarter time. With the heat in the ground, we know that Saints have lost Brendan Goddard, trying to mount a case that they could just get something going in this game, but every time they get an opportunity, it's squandered.
So the task here for the Dockers is to keep the ball hemmed in their forward half. Gilbert in the back pocket. McAvoy the target, and up and marking strongly. No fist from Griffin.
Been an interesting contest between Ben McAvoy and Jonathan Griffin. Seen both of them have a couple of moments where they've been able to do that, stand up and take a big contested mark.
McAvoy in the end pressured to kick towards the wing. Lynch through him. Revolt. Dockers have got more numbers around the football, but it's not coming out at the moment. Umpire letting it go. Eventually he calls for it, and a bounce the attacking side of the wing for the Dockers. Margin 54 points. McAvoy, deft touch to Montagna, was pulled off the ball. 5 now. Grover, here's some run from Stephen Hill. Can he find a target? Wobbly old kick towards Duffield, couldn't complete the mark. Gilbert, oh, he dropped the ball. No free kick. Chance for Dempster, tracking to the line. He disguised that pretty well. He handballed and then chased after it and almost caught up to it as it crossed the line. So well disguised by Sean Dempster. Boundary throw in half forward for Fremantle.
The umpire, I'd imagine, assessing there was no prior opportunity, and Jones did make some attempt. Again, the umpire letting it go, hoping the ball will come out. Das, as a former member of the Rules Committee, what do you think of this tendency to let these packs go on and on and on and hope that the ball will come out?
Well, I think you've got to pay a free kick if there's one there, and I think you've got to give the players an opportunity to get it out, and that's what they're doing.
Fife scrambling a kick forward, but the numbers always with the Saints in those situations. Broughton seizing upon it, snapping and kicking a goal for Fremantle.
Mark Harvey still barking instructions with about 3 minutes to go in this third quarter, and a much needed goal to the Fremantle Dockers. Can tell you now the sun is interesting here. Dockers are going with it. Now, games aren't normally played at 1 o'clock our time on an afternoon. It could play a bearing in this last quarter when St Kilda are going to the right of screen. The sun is starting to come down over the top of the 3-tier stand.
Thanks, Tim. Back in the centre. Needed clearance here, the Dockers. And not going to get it initially. Farron Ray at the base of the pack, umpire circling, but will bounce again. And it becomes infinitely harder once they have the secondary bounce, because players are able to converge on the football.
Always optimistic when you're a player. I think most players are like that. Collingwood kicked 11 goals to none last week against the Adelaide Crows. Can be done, but another one or another two with, what do we got, just under 3 minutes till three-quarter time. Then it's 3 in a row, and then a little bit of momentum for Fremantle.
Well, another bounce. Third man up Monday, trying to just clear the immediate area. Now Broughton to kick the last goal off to Fife. Left foot kick, measures it towards Palmer, fisted away by Del Santo. Jones loops a little handball to Ray, coughs it up. Here's an opportunity. Duffield tried to thread the handball through to Ballantyne, didn't quite get there, and taken over by Quill. The umpire says throw it in. Half forward for the Dockers.
You're doing your best to talk this up. I'm tempted to say I'll walk across the Nullarbor plain if Fremantle get up and win this. I'll just keep my powder dry on that for a little bit. Maybe 5 minutes into the last quarter. It does bring back memories of that day the Brisbane Bears came from behind Hawthorn under Robert Walls from 45 points down. Hot day, and things can change. But, gee, St Kilda are playing like a team that won't let go of this readily. McAvoy and Griffin doing the ruck work again. Broughton getting a little lower, a little kick out, but Dempster smothering. Ray just wriggling his way out, and it is ruled as such.
At least you're seeing some forward pressure and some tackle intensity, putting St Kilda under some heat that they haven't been under all game.
And these are signs. They're good signs for Fremantle. Lower on the end of that, can line them up, but it's pretty tight spot. But the Saints perhaps are feeling the pinch, and Fremantle playing with a little bit more freedom. And their leading goal kicker this year, Kepler Bradley, if he recovers from one to the solar plexus, will be able to line up for his second of the quarter.
And as I glance around the ground, a couple of really good kicks on the back of forward pressure and a good tackle. Delivered out of bounds. This is a really good forward kick into Kepler Bradley. Hard to defend that. The St Kilda players are all on their haunches. They're all gasping the air, and we thought that the heat would be a factor at some stage. It's 24 degrees and going up here in the west. Can they storm home and just make St Kilda a little nervous?
Well, a goal here and another one would have them go to three-quarter time with a sniff. Important moment. Bradley. The post again. It's uncanny. And that might snuff it out.
So just 82 seconds for St Kilda to get to three-quarter time. They've improved their position from their half-time lead. It's 45 at the half. Standing at 47 at the moment as Del Santo kicks long towards Fisher. Front and centre Schneider, Duffield. And again the ball tied up and a bounce.
Concern for David Armitage's right knee. He's done some run-throughs. They've done the normal knee flex test as well. So they might just starting to be run on a bit of empty here, St Kilda.
So the bounce. Griffin, third man up, Dempster, Jones. Oh, gee, Stephen, he was almost over, but he kicked it over, so a free kick to Fremantle. Still time, just over a minute left in this third quarter. Hayden Ballantyne. Can someone take a big mark? Michael Johnson's down there for Fremantle. So is Kepler Bradley. Kick into the pocket, chance for Palmer. Can he pull it back? No, across the face. Boundary throw in the other pocket.
Well, he's got teammates who were there for the centering ball. Ryan Crowley in particular, not happy with that attempt at a miracle goal. And Fremantle really need to pull one out here in the last minute. Couple of opportunities have gone begging. St Kilda with almost every man in the defensive 50. But they are starting to make tired mistakes.
And you said almost every man in the defensive 50. That is actually correct, Tim. Every St Kilda player for that stoppage was inside the defensive 50.
I reckon they are starting now to play for survival, to save this game, make sure they don't give it away. Pavlich having to kick from a standing start across the face. Gwilt plays it pretty well. Lost the run of it though, and the Dockers bit of a chance still. Johnson on his knees to nobody, and with all those men back there, St Kilda manage to keep the holes plugged up. But there's still time for a go.
There is, but I've referred to this a fair bit. St Kilda in the past were so hard to score against because they just got players in the right position at the right time of the game. Ross Lyons still barking instructions. It's exactly what you want. Just block it up, take the time off the clock, and make sure you go into three-quarter time without conceding another goal.
Well, they've seen off the danger for the moment. Ballantyne's kick out on the fall, so St Kilda can relieve the pressure with Jack Stephen with just 18 seconds on the clock. Very close to the line. Oh, McFarlane up with a spectacular leap. Hill, Broughton under pressure. Pavlich, Fife working back. Hill needs to get a kick away, need a mark. They need to mark this Fremantle. Ball to the back, and Johnson, well tackled. There it is. Ballantyne Three-quarter time, an absorbing game, and St Kilda have extended their lead by an extra 2 points. They lead by 47 at the final break.
Well, it felt like they won the quarter by more than that margin. You just pointed out a couple of points, St Kilda. In the last 5 or 10 minutes, we saw some momentum back Fremantle's way. Probably not able to do enough damage on the scoreboard to really challenge St Kilda, but it's hot here. It's been a long trip over. Saints have been enormous. Can they go on with the job in the final quarter?
Will we have something to remember out of this hot afternoon at Patterson Stadium in Perth? You never know. The game was changing in the last 5 or 6 minutes of that third quarter. St Kilda, though, winning the term 4-1 to 3-5 and leading by 47 points. With a turn to go, Tim Gossage with a three-quarter time update.
Thanks very much, Tim. Well, of course, St Kilda, we sensed in the last 5 minutes of the last quarter they're sort of running on empty. They haven't had Goddard, of course, for the last 2 quarters. He's gone to St Charles Gardner Hospital with a neck head injury. I can tell you that I believe they're running on a bit of empty, but it's 47 points. It's probably going to be a very handy lead to have. But as I said, they've been one down for a while. They had 85 rotations alongside the Fremantle Dockers 105, which is quite an alarming gap between two teams to three-quarter time. Now, Kepler Bradley went and said to the doctors and the medical staff after this. He said that it sort of got banged just above the hip, and then he fell on his ribs, and he was complaining of soreness there. He'll play out the game. It is warm. It's not hot. It is warm. It's rare at this time of year. But let me tell you, I think Fremantle might have their work cut out. But St Kilda have to still hang on.
Tim, I tried to ask you earlier, and you'd gone off mic. But have you gained any indication as to what symptoms in relation to Goddard were causing the obvious concern?
St Kilda, as is their way, and they've obviously, the doctor has gone, the St Kilda club doctor has gone to St Charles Gardner Hospital. Now, St Charles Gardner Hospital here in Perth is for neurological, so it's head above the shoulders. So clearly, it might not be neck, it might be something a bit higher than that. But they've been haven't given a lot of information out at the moment. I'll keep you posted. I'm trying to prize it out of him. But he's in good hands, and he's also in good spirits.
Thanks for that, Tim Gossage down on the boundary. Ross Lyon has never looked like a man content that this game's in the bag.
No, given what's happened this year, you can understand his reticence to do that. For Saints fans back home watching today's game, I would be feeling really good about the way it's unfolded on a whole number of levels. I think, I keep saying that word, their organisation, their discipline, their structure has been their hallmark for me over the last 3 years. You just knew when this side played, they didn't make mistakes from being unorganised, for want of a better term. Today they've got all that right. They've got their key players playing really well in good matchups. Their intensity's been great. Their contested possession, their work around the footy has been really good. Can they finish it off? It's been a monumental performance, or have the Dockers got just another little shot to fire?
Final quarter underway. Lee Montagna scrambles a kick towards half forward. Coming to meet a Brett Peake. That was a brilliant little paddle back for Schneider. He kicked 3 in the third quarter. Vacant goal square, and it's bounced through. Oh, it's St Kilda's day.
Well, here's the answer to the question I was posing at the start of last quarter. Great little back pedal there from Brett Peake. And Adam Schneider, he is just a gun. So smart with the footy. He knew as soon as he kicked it, always thought that was on target. He backpedaled. Yep, that's going to bounce through. First goal to the Saints. No chance now for the Fremantle Dockers. Too far to come back from
You'll
here.
walk the nullarbor with me, Dave.
Yeah, I just about will, I reckon, from here.
I am calling it.
They haven't looked
official.
like it. We're trying to make a case, Tim, but not going to happen today.
Mundy climbing into the ruck, fisting it back up into the air. Dockers come out of it with a free to their leader, Matthew Pavlich. Tried to work his way through. In the end, had to prop and kick, and Blake just read that beautifully. The Saints playing with supreme confidence today. Blake takes it wide to Armitage's call, and he picked it up and clung to it low down. St Kilda by 53. Fremantle have kicked 4 for the day and would need at least 9 in the last quarter if they were to work the miracle. Sam Fisher for Revolt. McFarlane with him. Revolt goalless.
In fact, McFarlane's done a wonderful job this afternoon. Just 9 disposals for Revolt.
I'm trying to think of another Fremantle player that you could say has won his position or been on top today. Luke McFarlane, as you just pointed out, Chris, he's been really good on Nick Revolt. Apart from that, can't give you another one who's been better than their opponent.
Revolt hurriedly into the forward 50 and a boundary throw in between half forward and the pocket.
That's a great sign as well for St Kilda to have their star, really still working hard. You're going to get effort from Nick Revolt. He's playing on a really good player. He's leading up, he's creating space out the back, and they've got a lot of goals from their midfielders.
Armitage looking to get the hands clear. Handball a little fierce in the end. Griffin. Now he's dragged that back under. He gets it out just in the nick of time. Chance for Stephen just standing off the pack. Dempster, the flying snap at goal, is offline. 54 points now and even 9 goals.
And all their role players as well, just stepping up. Sean Dempster doing the sort of job that he's made a name in the game for, taking Hayden Ballantyne out of it and then able to still get the footy when it's his turn to do so. Clinton Jones has been really good on Stephen Hill. McAvoy stepping up the rucks, had a good game as well. So it's been a pretty polished performance from the Saints.
Dylan Robertson, the substitute for Fremantle. Long ball, but Gilbert plucking it. He had plenty of company. Pavlich was there, Griffin was there, and Gilbert came down with it.
He's the next one that is just starting to show some signs, Sam Gilbert, that he's getting his confidence and his energy and enthusiasm back. He's had a horror time in the game, Sam Gilbert. He's had all the issues in the off-season, probably affected by it maybe more than anyone else, but over the last few weeks, and particularly today, really looking as though he's enjoying his footy again.
This will be a bonding win for St Kilda in very oppressive conditions. Against the odds. Mundy, quick kick to Palmer. Force short to Johnson. Wilt just a metre behind has been good for St Kilda down in the back half. And the Dockers retreat. And the crowd express their derision of this. I think they really would expect their team just to attack and try and do something on the scoreboard. Ibbotson, Grover, sweeping it to the running Robertson inside. Bounce eluding him and the steal is on. And it is one of countless that have been made in midfield today by the Saints. And oftentimes they've hurt on the scoreboard once they've achieved it. Milne working back beyond the centre. Revolt, the only man standing at half forward. Ibbotson the crumb for Fremantle. Off to De Boer. He was in space and yet instinctively was looking left and right before taking off. Such is the bunker mindset of the Dockers. And look where it's gone.
Perceived pressure, Tim, you called it exactly right. De Boer immediately thought, I'm going to be set upon. And he was glancing over his shoulder, took his eye off and his concentration and focus away from what he needed to do. And he's missed a 10-metre target, kicked it straight out of bounds.
Third man up was Duffield, but Griffin was able to get it down. Duffield finds it at ground level. Robertson. Oh, did he need to get rid of it quickly? Well, he got away with it with a handball to De Boer, but they're under pressure. 3-metre kick to Duffield, who chips it, and the mark's taken by Griffin. Now, he thought about giving it to his captain, but he goes back and kicks it beautifully onto the chest of Johnson. That's better. And he's marked just inside attacking 50 for the Dockers.
A good kick there from Jonathan Griffin. Probably an area of his game when he was at the Adelaide Crows that he wasn't renowned for. And Michael Johnson just quite seemed to be the player he was a couple of years ago.
Now, short kick towards Palmer. He's got it. Dragged down by Farron Ray, but Palmer will kick from 40 metres on a reasonably acute angle, you can see. And just reckon if you're Reece Palmer, you'd be showing a little more urgency at the moment. If they are any chance, they need to be up and about, a bit more busier than what Palmer's is at the moment, taking plenty of time with this opportunity. Just 4 goals for the year. And that one's a straight one, so the Dockers have goal number 5.
Disappointed fans, and that's what they've got ahead. They've got to go to Melbourne and meet Hawthorn. That looks unlikely. They play Essendon here, but they've lost, if we count today as a loss, 3 of their 5 encounters at Patterson Stadium for the season. So these games aren't the gimmies we imagined they might have been for Freo. They could lose their next couple and be losing touch with the 8. Here goes Ibbotson for Fremantle. Awkward little half volley, claimed by Palmer and paid. Now, I think that's a legitimate step over the mark by Stephen Milne. cheeky as ever. You'd never know whether he was foxing, but the umpire was convinced. Griffin now, and Lower marked it well and swings it long for Main in a difficult spot. First he had to mark it, then he had to try and kick a goal from there. It was never going to be a really good spot for the ball to go to.
But even Lower, I mean, if you're going to pull the trigger, why do it deep in the forward pocket where it's so easy to defend and going to go out of bounds? Put it into the dangerous position. They've just made poor choices consistently throughout the game, the Dockers.
Gwilt, well tackled by Main, going nowhere, so a bounce 25 metres from goal. Michael Barlow expected to return in the WAFL next week. So
saw him walking the boundary line downstairs before, Chris, and he's looking fit and up and running. It'd be great to see him come back. Horrific injury that he suffered.
Ray with the football. Now, did he make a genuine attempt? No, he's going to get a free kick here to the umpire. The umpire's going to give a free kick to the Dockers against Farron Ray.
Rolled over, it's a free kick. He dragged it in, it's a free kick.
Dragged it in, you heard the umpire.
Onus is on you to knock it out if you drag
Saints
it in.
players are saying he didn't have the ball. And really remonstrating, Lee Montagna.
Let's go.
So the free kick to Broughton, who kicked a goal in the third quarter, which was just his second goal of the year, with an opportunity for number 2. Just 20 metres, perhaps 25 from goal, 45-degree angle. He pops it through.
Are the Saints starting to mount their charge? Well, it will be tested over the next 3 weeks before some well-needed respite. Collingwood, the Bulldogs and Geelong. Life doesn't get any easier. And they're going to be flattened after this day. It's been warm. Here they go. Peak, been dangerous for them. Receiving Montagna, but the kick poor. McFarlane picking it off. A winning defender back there for Fremantle, Luke McFarlane on revolt. Extraordinarily, the Saints have come here relying so much as they do on revolt and Milne. They haven't kicked a goal between them. Anthony Grover's had the job on Stephen Milne. And you'd have thought if they were returning a stat like that, Fremantle would have been well on their way to a win, as opposed to a flogging. Peak, high ball, Lynch. Van Berlo there too. Jones the crumb, Armitage the snap, just offline.
And that for me is another positive as well, Tim. Getting an even contribution from particularly their midfielders. Good chase there from Revolt and McFarlane. Haven't relied, as you said, on their 2 big gun forwards. It's been a real team effort. What a great forward pressure. And again, that was good chase from Revolt to cause this one.
Winmar wide, Milne the target. Oh, gee, outpointed Crowley and snaps at goal and kicks it.
Prior to today, Milne had 18 goals for the season. Revolt 14, next best for the Saints. Then it was Schneider 8. Cripps out injured today, 7. We're told he's going to miss the season, which is very bad news for the Saints. And then Jack Stephen 5. But today the midfielders have got among the goals, and Adam Schneider made a big contribution since half-time. The Saints leading by 49 points. On their way to their 3rd win, plus a draw from 9 games, and starting to at least put themselves into a statistical position from where they could make the 8. Here's Mzungu, and that was good to Robertson, the sub, drew the tackler, released Johnson from on the 50, well wide.
Disappointing effort there from Michael Johnson as the Saints bring it in to Del Santo. Good setup by the Dockers, and he couldn't quite finish it. Del Santo content just to kick along the line to a contest. In front almost, mark taken by Robertson, but the ball tied up and a bounce half forward for the Dockers.
Leading disposal gatherers on the ground there, Chris. So Nick Del Santo has got the job done, spent some time in defence and around the midfield. Broughton and Mzungu for Fremantle. Been impressed with Jack Stephen, who you saw there on the fourth line today. Had a heap of the footy in the first half and really committed himself to this contest.
Revolt coughs it up under pressure to Mundy, and they bring it away. Van Berlo combines with Bradley. Now they kick to centre half forward. Chase on here, Ballantyne and Gilbert does it brilliantly. They're away. Del Santo needs to and wanted to draw a player and give it to Jones, but he cuts inboard instead because he's got a spare man. Stephen, and coming through Ibbotson fiercely. Van Berlo can't control it. Well done, Armitage. Got the arms clear to try and give it to Polo. Dockers do well. The ball ridden into the ground, and the umpire letting it go on. Chance at ground level for Van Berlo. Little fumble. Dawson does well. Gilbert towards Del Santo, knocked back by Jones into the path of McAvoy. He can't get it to a teammate. Ballantyne, he can't control it. Well done by McAvoy, this time to Dempster, to Montagna, and he chips it to Lynch, who played on. Now to Del Santo. Sweeps the handball wide to Stephen, who's good to see recovered from that hit just a few moments ago. Stephen from hard up against the line, kicks a wonderful goal.
I reckon Jack Stephen in game number 16, this has been his best performance. 22 disposals, great goal there from the boundary line. You saw his courage before, went back with a flight. He's really committed his body into the contest, and that will really please Ross Lyon. He's getting games into Stephen. He's got Nicholas Winmar out there. Some fresh faces providing some energy here for the Saints.
Sort of weather Jack Stephen would enjoy down at Lawn, where he comes from. He's playing a footy match in the heat for St Kilda on the other side of Australia. But I reckon it might be the sort of weather that's really brought out the best in the Saints. They've girded their loins and committed themselves for a huge effort. And it has absolutely overwhelmed Fremantle. It's reduced them to very mediocre status. They're a scoring chance here, but not for long. Del Santo's been excellent to Gilbert and back. Gilbert giving it up here. And Broughton swings it around the corner, but not far enough around the corner. And it'll be coming back.
So disappointing there from Broughton. And Jason Blake with the free kick in the back pocket. A few Fremantle Dockers had enough. Kick to half back. Griffin at the back couldn't take it. Chance for Lower. He's well tackled by Schneider. And another bounce half forward for the Dockers. Saints led by 25 at quarter time, by 45 at the long break. 47 was the margin at three-quarter time, and they've got it out to 55 points. Jones scrambles it forward, playing in front. Lynch. Kick towards half forward. Milne did brilliantly on the half volley. Handball just a little behind Revolt. Socket forward by Milne, only as far as McFarlane, who's been Fremantle's best. Handball, though, wasn't great to Mundy. Got the numbers. Lower. Grover back to Mundy. Not too much on. Squeezes the kick to Bradley, who did well to pick it up on the half volley, but his kick brilliantly smothered by McAvoy, who's done a pretty good job. McAvoy coming in for Kazitsky this afternoon, and we'll get a boundary throw in on centre wing.
Another little St Kilda victory. Well done by McAvoy. Contesting with Griffin. Farron Ray becomes a ruckman for St Kilda. Eventually the Dockers work it out. Mundy getting a kick forward. Gwilt getting rid of Robertson though, and then covers the spilling ball, giving to Del Santo. Look at the seating in the background. Just about half the crowd's left. This is a dark day for the Fremantle Dockers. Here goes Stephen again. Thought about the shot from the centre after the last effort. Wisely decided against it. Gets involved again to Revolt. Lobbing it in the Lynch direction. Mundy with him. Crashing in hard came Gilbert. Peaked there too for the Saints. Now Schneider. Crowley over him. And the umpire's going to come in and ball it up.
Tommy Lynch there just might have popped a finger out that contest, and good to see him in his second game there. Really cracking in hard after that footy.
Bounce half forward for the Saints. Ray. Now boundary throw in.
It's all the more impressive, isn't it, Brendan Goddard we know he's in hospital with a neck injury. It was their best player in the first quarter. And so if you had have asked Fremantle who would you most like to have had come out of the game, I think it would have been Brendan Goddard. And this whole side that's been out there today from St Kilda really just been consistent in their efforts right across the 4 quarters of this match.
Fremantle work it out of defence, not the greatest of kicks by Pavlich, but it ends with Van Berlo, who chips it to the run of May. Now no one ahead of him from 48. He measures the kick and kicks another behind. So not the greatest of days for Chris Mayne this afternoon. Just 6 disposals and a couple of behinds. Margin 54 points in favour of St Kilda.
Long ball, Gwilt. Fife, very quiet today. Duffield, Johnson, Pavlich, blazes from a long way, kicks well. Too little, too late.
Mark Harvey will be really disappointed with what his team's produced this afternoon. Saints lead by 8 goals. Give that one to McAvoy, crashing in Mill. McAvoy continues to fight on at ground level, as does Griffin. Not coming out, and another bounce.
It'll be a hard one to assess for Mark Harvey after the game as to the reasons why, and you never really can put your finger on what happened today. But right from the first bounce, it was just a lack of intensity, real lack of commitment to the contest, and they haven't ever been able to get it back.
Chance for Fife. He has a bounce, runs to 55, and kicks long towards goal. Gee, that had some carry on at the kick, but offline through for another behind. Margin 47 as it was at 3/4 time.
Ball mark just above the chalk by Montagna. Still the margin 47 points. And Fremantle's hopes long gone. St Kilda's footy here. Breakaway on, and it's that man Jack Stephen. It looks as though he must have been doing some heat training. He's running this out better than most, playing a very good last quarter. Grover has mastered Milne today. Not that Milne has failed to make a contribution. Has managed just the 1 goal late in the piece, but the fact that Grover has restricted him from inflicting damage on the board is a major victory. There have been 2 fewer of those for Fremantle. Duffield getting it to Mundy. He goes sideways to Ibbotson for the Dockers, and he has another call sideways, and this one comes from Broughton. Taken the long way there. Johnson. Really a shockingly disappointing day for Fremantle. St Kilda have played very well, no doubt about that. Johnson blazes out on the full, so gives the ball up again. But if Fremantle are to be a serious sort of contender, they've got to be able to do much better than this. This has been an absolute hiding at the hands of the Saints, and there hasn't been a great deal of honour about the defeat. Dempster gives to Del Santo as the Saints now toy with the Dockers.
It's something that they've been really wanting to move on from Fremantle, inconsistency of effort. In the past, they've had great wins, and you go, this is a different side, Fremantle. We know we can count on them to at least dish up a really good, hard performance each week. So this is a real step back for them as a group under Mark Harvey. You can get beaten by a better side when you commit yourself fully, but I think that will be the question today. Why did we turn up and really lack the effort and intensity required to play an AFL game?
Chance for Lower. Feeds the handball to Robertson, the sub, and he kicks inboard, and the mark's taken by Parmanek. And kick across the ground. Loose player is McFarlane, who's been Fremantle's best. Around Stephen, and then very wide with the kick. Gathered by Fife. Right on the boundary line. Feeds it back to in the direction of Crowley, but handball missed the mark. And again, on the rebound, the Saints, Armitage, Ray, wide. And the mark taken by Stephen. He decides just to...
He's been great, Chris, Jack Stephen. Coming up for disposal number 26. Kicked a really good goal in this quarter as the Saints now decide just to take some of the heat out of this last 3 or 4 minutes. They'll be really tired with their efforts, but given the fact that they've had such a good 3 seasons, one of the downsides has been they haven't had to inject many new players into the side. It's been a very hard team to break into. And Jack Stevens, an early draft pick. It's only his 16th game. Nicholas Winmar gets another game of experience. Tom Lynch plays his 2nd game today. So if they can win, improve and play new players, that is all good for St Kilda.
Stephen Hill drives it long inside attacking 50. Main in from the side. Gilbert. Broughton applying some pressure. Oh, it was pushed in the back by Dawson. That was crude. And a free kick will come back to Broughton.
The only real negative will be, and concern will be, around Brendan Goddard, and let's just hope and pray that he goes and finds out that there's nothing untoward. If you've just joined us, Brendan Goddard in hospital with what looked like a serious neck injury. The great news was, as he came off the ground, he put his thumb up. He was talking all the way through on the stretcher, so our thoughts are with Brendan and his family that he's going to be okay.
Absolutely. Well, here's Broughton. He's kicked a couple today. Lovely casual approach, but just missing to the near side. So another behind to the Dockers.
Suddenly next week's grand final replay between the Magpies and the Saints has a bit of interest, a bit of glamour about it. A couple of weeks ago you'd have thought it had gone from grand final status to non-event, but the Saints are finding a bit of the old Saints footy. Played in a slightly different way, but they have achieved a great result here today. Given the ball up here, out on the full, Ibbotson to take the free kick for the Dockers. Feeds to McFarlane, to Duffield. And he just got the weight right. Fife marks it. He's about 40 out.
I would pay some real respect. Well, the Saints played down.
2 down.
And I was glancing back at Luke McFarlane, so I've missed it, but Jason Blake is one of them. And they both look in a bad way. So we'll stick with this. Let's have a look at the replay. Oh, no, that's
gee.
Dempster.
And Blake.
Oh, God. It was an accidental knee to the head of Dempster, who hasn't moved. Oh, and Blake's landed really awkwardly on his neck and shoulder. So we're just talking about our thoughts with Brendan Goddard, who had a bad neck injury. Now 2 more Saints down.
Well, Dempster looks the most seriously injured. That is he, hidden from view, and again looks as though the Dockers crew are out lending a hand to the Saints staff. Mentioned earlier in the day when Brendan Goddard went down that such have been St Kilda's fortunes lately that there's been a cloud over even the golden moments, and so it's been here today. One serious injury early in the piece, and now this, with the game virtually done and dusted. Blake clutching his hand there after coming down, as though perhaps that was causing him discomfort.
Blake's fine. He's joined the pack. He's up and about, and no issue with Jason Blake. Just Sean Dempster, they brought the mobile stretcher out straight away. Talk about courage in footy, and you can't switch it on and off. Players don't decide in the last couple of minutes, this one's done and I'm not going to go back anymore. You sometimes wish they would, because there was just an issue there. Blake went back so hard, and it's accidental contact, as was the case with Goddard. It was friendly fire that cleaned Brendan Goddard up. Zach Dawson, it was his hip that did the damage to Goddard.
So another extended delay, and our coverage running a little late here with a very long opening quarter. Brendan Goddard went down with 16 seconds left in the first term, and now this has happened in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the final term. The news will be coming up at the end of our football coverage from Patterson Stadium, and Sean Dempster out like a light, you would fancy, from that. Not what anyone would want at the end of a day like this, where you wouldn't begrudge every player a cold shower and a cool drink.
Well, the ironic thing, Tim, is that we had vision earlier of the St Kilda medical staff practicing putting a patient onto the stretcher, and they've had to do it in practice twice, which is something I'm sure they never expected to have to do. Jason Blake coming from the ground, and look, he is okay, but he's clearly in some discomfort there as he limps to the bench, and he landed very awkwardly. But the real concern is for Sean Dempster.
So the doctors have got some oxygen out here with Sean Dempster, which is a common practice in this situation. Nothing to be overly alarmed about there. But we're talking, as Tim just said, about pre-game, and we spotted this in the rooms. It was the medical staff going through a practice run of what might happen in this situation. And unfortunately, they've had to put it into place twice today.
Yes, it's always disturbing to see these moments, and extended as they are by the precision which is applied by the medical and training staff, and the sight of oxygen coming out is somewhat disturbing. We saw it with Joel Selwood in round one in that collision he had with Farron Ray, and it has been brought out here for Sean Dempster. Such a courageous player for both Sydney and St Kilda.
What's the line? Look at that. He must be just perplexed with, we finally get our season back on track. This is the best game we played for the year. Feel as though we have really got our mojo back. Our structure is so good today. Brendan Goddard's in hospital. Sean Dempster looks as though he's going to join his good mate as well. And it's an unbelievable story, St Kilda, this year. Bounces the other way in a grand final. We're talking about the reigning premiers. Stephen Milne runs into a goal. They play a replay grand final, and then they have a whole series of events in the off-season that you just couldn't have written a script if you were trying to create a horror movie for them. And credit to them and their resilience. They've just taken time to get themselves back on track. And look, we're hopeful that neither Brendan Goddard or Sean Dempster are seriously hurt, but the look isn't great that they're going to be back out in the next couple of weeks.
They're going off at the other end of the ground where the ambulance actually bases itself, so they're going down to the left of screen. They're going off slowly. We've also been told that they're trying to put out a notice to all people at the ground to don't drive out of the ground, and just so the ambulance can actually get to the hospital, because it would be a gridlock here within 5 minutes. And there's the ambulance there, and that's the other end of the ground, so they will be going straight to Sir Charles Gardner Hospital also.
Just a reminder again that our Melbourne viewers will be taking news at the completion of this game, which isn't too many minutes away, but has been pushed back by this injury to Sean Dempster. Well, it's a day Mark Harvey would want to forget, one that St Kilda fans will remember very fondly, and one that Sean Dempster perhaps won't remember much of at all after that knock. We hope he's okay. For the coach, the job goes on. It's Fremantle's ball, and Nathan Pfeiffer's lining them up from 40 metres out. He marked that ball while those around him were colliding rather awkwardly, and with serious consequences for Dempster. In comes Fife from 45, and he manages to miss.
It's my first live look at Nathan Fife in 2011. The raps on his season have been enormous, and hasn't been a day where everything's gone his way today. 23 disposals. He's laid a couple of tackles, won some clearances, but just getting a close-up look, you can see the quality, and you can see the clean hands, you can see the penetrating kick, how well he breaks the line. So exciting prospect, the 19-year-old.
Gwilt towards half-back, and Revolt involved there, applying a good tackle. We'll get a bounce. Player underneath for Fremantle, Reece Palmer.
Been a great job. Luke McFarlane was about to talk about before that incident has kept Nick Revolt to just 13 disposals. McFarlane's had 18, and Revolt hasn't kicked a goal. So,
well, I was going to say a lot of those disposals have been well and truly up the ground, and he certainly hasn't looked dangerous at all. But the positive for St Kilda is that the midfielders have been able to chip in and play a role, particularly with goal kicking today.
Sorry, Chris, before I was about to say, what also has been impressive for me, you don't see many athletes that can run with Revolt the whole day, and McFarlane has been with him every single step, and Revolt hasn't worked any less hard than he does in previous weeks, and it's a rare athlete who's got that capacity to run around with that man for 4 quarters.
So, the kick comes from Winmar towards the wing. Good mark taken by De Boer. Now he's got a player inside the centre square all by himself. He elected not to go there. Closing ground was peaked very quickly on that loose player as the ball kicks towards Revolt, who's up and in front. Mark taken by Winmar. So Winmar was the sub this afternoon who came on at the end of, well, pretty much in the second quarter after Brendan Goddard went down. Fisher shares it with Gwilt. And St Kilda just playing for time here. Not the greatest of kicks back to Fisher. He's got time. Goes longer. And Farron Ray in space at half-back takes the mark.
Saints have kicked 4 goals in every quarter. Consistency has been their hallmark through this long day. They restricted Fremantle to just 1 before half-time. And the Dockers have been a little more successful since then. Here's Hill, who's been so well handled by Clint Jones. Dockers work it around and get it to Hill again, who puts it in front of Robertson, but Gwilt coming the other way. Holds up, wins the ball, gives to Ray, kicks to Del Santo. Biggest possession winner out there. Very steady, team-oriented performance from Nick Del Santo.
Seems very happy for Nick Del Santo to play defensively at the moment, Ross Lyon. So he's changed a few things up. Fisher last week played almost exclusively in the midfield. He's followed Pavlich up there today. Del Santo at half-back. Goddard started the midfield and was prepared to float across half-back before being injured. And Rewalt further up the ground as well. So a few subtle changes for Ross Lyon.
Well, another missed target by hand by the Dockers in midfield, and that has cost them severely today. Here goes Jones, who got among the goals in the first half, and he might kick one here with the wrong boot. No, he doesn't. Not so strong on the right, and he doesn't add to the 2 that he kicked in the first quarter.
That's what he does at his best too, Tim. He defends really well, shuts an opponent out of the game, but also goes the other way.
Well, there it is. The agony comes to an end for the Dockers, but it's a triumphant day for the Saints and their coach. Alas, at a high cost. Brendan Goddard in Sir Charles Gardner Hospital. Sean Dempster taken off, apparently unconscious in the dying minutes. But this is a great victory, and it resuscitates the Saints' 2011 season. The margin 46 points. St Kilda's way, dominating the game from the start. 4 goals to none in the first, 4-1 in the second. It was pretty much over by halfway.
It's a score line that reflects St Kilda at their best. They could score 100 plus and kept the opposition to just 56, which was what they were able to do for 3 years, playing grand finals, get to preliminary finals. The opposition find it hard to score. They create an enormous amount of pressure around the footy. Their forward press today was as good as anyone has put on all year. They're good players, back to really good form. But for Fremantle, that is just so disappointing, Tim and Chris. So they were come here in their own home ground and expected a much better performance than they delivered today.
They've lost 3 out of 5 here this year, and the Dockers could find themselves out of the 8 later tonight. If Richmond beat Port Adelaide in Darwin, that will be the reality. It's St Kilda by 46 points at Patterson Stadium.